Get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell.
And happy Saturday night to you all. I don't know if it's happy Saturday night, but it is Saturday night. And as Wade Barrett once said, bad news, Barrett, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Yes, we've got some bad news to discuss tonight, but we have some good news as well. Admittedly, probably a little bit more bad news than good, but we are, it's nothing that I don't think any of us probably expected. If you've been watching this channel for, God, it feels like we've been following this slowly, going all the way back to the closing of the DoubleTree. It seems like we've been kind of preparing for these moments, the upcoming year or so. But how is everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody is enjoying their weekend. Spooky season is upon us. Halloween's right around the corner. Living Dead weekend is right around the corner. Speaking of good news, if there's anything that can lift spirits and you know, cheer us up a little bit, it is, of course, the Living Dead weekend happening at the Monroeville Mall in a couple of weeks, October 24th through the 26th. So looking forward to that. I'll see quite a few of you there, and that's always exciting. Always good to see you guys. And that's we're going to talk about Living Dead weekend. They've made speaking of bad news, I mean they had to announce a cancellation for the show earlier this week, but they have announced some new guests, some pretty cool guests that you don't really see too often. From Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I think two of them got announced today, so it would be pretty cool to talk about those. But yes, not to bury the lead, and we'll definitely get into it. And I actually have the documents that have been filed with the city of Monroeville and the plans for the future of the Monroeville Mall. When will the mall be closing? What will happen to the mall after it's closed? What are the plans? What's going to happen? And I have quite a bit of thought. I mean, it's like I'm sure if you watch this channel enough, I'm sure I sound like a broken record at this point. But I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. It's one of those things that I'm just I feel like I'm covering in the moment as it goes on, as new information becomes available. And it's just like this whirlwind of thoughts and emotions and feelings, and I try not to get too deep into it on like social media and stuff like that, but it is what it is, and it's just a weird, helpless feeling, if nothing else. But if nothing else, we can all gather here and give our thoughts and opinions and kind of dig in and see what to expect and what the future holds for the Monroeville Mall. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. I'll just say that. But see who I got in the chat here. See quite a few of you in here already. Very, very cool. Hope you guys are doing well. We got PMC's Midnight Movies is in the house. What's up, PMC's Midnight Movies? I don't know, should I call PMC or Midnight Movies? Or good news is the stream is beginning. The bad news, it has to end eventually. I don't know about that these days. Some of these streams, goddamn, that when I was doing my top 10 countdown of my favorite non-Romero horror movies, was like a 4.5 hour long stream, and just kept going and going and going, and I was just like, holy shit, like I don't know if I can end this, because every time I bring up a new movie, I just want to talk about it and dig into it, because you guys know how I am. I can just fucking just babble about this shit forever. So yeah, I don't know about it. I think one of these days I'm gonna start a stream, it's just never gonna fucking end. I'm just gonna keep going. I have thought about doing that before. Like a 24-hour stream for like a call, like to raise money for something, like, because I've seen streamers do that before in the past, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, whatever, playing video games. Or I'd probably do like a 24-hour watch along or something. I'd just go through and watch all of Romero's filmography, and then by the end of it, just pass out, and you'd probably never see my ass again, type of thing. But yeah, hope you're doing well, man, and we'll get to it, and hopefully we'll end this sucker. Hopefully, I say this almost every time. It's like, hopefully we won't go 3-4 hours tonight. But usually when we get going, and that's we're talking about something, current events and news, and like I said, we do have some good news to discuss, some physical media news to discuss. That there's not really a whole lot of news, but there are some positive takeaways to be had, I guess, that we'll talk about here eventually. But good to see you. Glad to have you in here. John Fisher is in the house. What's up, John? Says, I sincerely hope the new banner is wrong, or the news banner is wrong, apart from the D's instead of the O's. Yeah. Fucking AI. You gotta love AI, right? Imagine the loss of that behemoth of cinema lore. Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot to say. So stay tuned, and we'll get into it here shortly. And also, I mean, like I said, we've got good news, bad news, and whatever else you guys want to talk about. I was actually just watching the new John Candy documentary that was released on Amazon. Speaking of something that'll bum you out for but fuck, we can talk about John Candy if you want, because that's kind of on the mind. But very good documentary, very interesting, and one of those guys that I grew up with. You know, it was one of the first like names that I remember when I was a kid. You know, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger, Macaulay Culkin, and John Candy was another one that even as a kid, like I knew the name John Candy, and he was like one of the first ones that I remember, like celebrity deaths that I remember as a child that really like affected me because I was like, holy shit, like Uncle Buck's dead. It was hard for me to process when I was a kid. Um, but yeah, I love John Candy. If you guys haven't seen that, it's on Amazon. It's called I Like Me, a documentary all about John Candy's life and all that. And it's great that there's documentaries about that because I mean he's been dead for what 94, so he's been dead for quite some time. So it's really cool that we got some stuff out there on him still to this day, and he hasn't been forgotten to time. Um, but yeah, I hope you're doing well, John. We got Rick the going llama. What's going on, brother? Hello, all, he says. Good to see Rick as always. We got Blake Allen's in the house. Hello, all, says Blake. What's going on, Blake? Todd Bond is in the house. Evening Deadheads. Evening, Todd. Hope you're doing well, my man. We got Bonnie Bailey. What's going on, Bonnie? How are you? Always good to see Bonnie in here. Yeah. I mean, that's how we're feeling, man. We're dead. We're all messed up. Yes, we are. We got Grande's Graveyard, Living Dead Weekend, less than 2 weeks. Hey to all. Yes, sir. I'll be seeing you very, very shortly. Very, very soon, man. And really fun stream last weekend with Grande. We did the Romero rankings of the VHS covers from around the world. That was a lot of fun, and again, it was one of those situations where like I felt bad because it was 3 hours, over 3 hours or something like that. Afterwards, I was like, dude, I'm sorry, but like once we get into those like tier rankings, it's like they come one after another, and it's just like holy shit, they'll never end. And it's like everyone you pull up, it's like, oh, I have 1,000 things to say about this, or I could nitpick every little piece of this, and it can just go on. But always a great time. Shut up, Abby. That's my dog, Abby, who's been doing that all day. Like that's all I hear is just constant barking. She's just a nervous wreck of a dog that just wants to bark and yelp at every little thing. Somebody's coming in through the front door, so I might be murdered here momentarily. So if I am, it's on camera, and you guys will be my witnesses. So, well, let's just hope. I don't know what the hell's going on. I thought everybody went to bed. Spooky season, as they say. But yeah, everybody go check out last week's stream if you haven't seen it. It was whole lot of fun. Always great to talk and hang out with Grande. And everybody check out his channel, Grande's Graveyard. I had a really fun stream the other night where it was like an elimination tournament style horror movie versus horror movie, and some really good debate going on there. And I don't know if I agree with everybody's picks on that, but it was a hell of a lot of fun either way. But good to see you, my man. Synth, what's going on, brother? Hey, y'all, goth jams, yes, sir. Always. I live the goth life. The Midwestern. What did I coin? The Midwestern goth look or whatever. I don't know. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. And I believe you're making it to Living Dead Weekend as well. I think I saw the other day. Very cool, man. I'm glad you're getting to come back, and looking forward to seeing you again. Got Steven. What's going on, brother? Steven Ustrike Jr. Howdy, campers. Always good to see Steven. We got Michelle in the house. Michelle Parsons. Hey, Michelle. Michelle's watching Blood Rage, I think, because it's Canadian Thanksgiving right now, so she's in Thanksgiving. See, Canadians are all fucking backwards, man. It's like their Thanksgiving's in October, and it's just like, what? But very cool. What's going on, brother? Matt Landrum. What's going on, Matt? And I love that picture too. I've been going back and revisiting a lot of Phantasm this week. I just watched Phantasm 3 last night with Everly. Which it wasn't meant to be, but she just kind of came up and started watching it with me, and she just looked at me. She was like, "Ball? Like a ball? Like I'm scared of a ball?" And then she saw what the ball does, and then she gets that shit-eating grin, that look, just kind of like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But yeah, I've been kind of going back. This season's always a good time to go back and revisit the Phantasm movies for me, and it's been a while since I've seen the sequels. And I gotta say, I've only watched the first 3 so far. I got to go back and I'm gonna finish the other 2 that are in that set. But I think I like 3 better than 2, man. What are your thoughts on that? I know you're doing a stream with Grande coming up soon, all about Phantasm, like a Phantasm retrospective. But I think I'm a bigger fan of 3 than I am 2. It used to be the other way around. I used to really like 2, but watching it again recently, I was like, I don't know if I like that one as much. But 3, I find myself liking more and more every time I see it. Great movies, great Halloween movies for sure. We got Liquid Coolers in the house. Liquid Cooler, what's up, man? Good to see you. Got John Vulo is in the house. What's up, John? the Romero archaeologist, as he's been coined by me. We got the Weird Beard. What's going on, the Weird Beard? Hello, Mike. Oh, that's buddy Robert. What's going on, Robert? Um, I noticed you changed the name, man. You changed the name, but I noticed the beard. I noticed the beard. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. We got Night of the Living Dead Survival. He's been commenting on some videos here recently. Been kind of going back and forth with him here recently. What's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. Says crazy thing is my mall will be the oldest in Pennsylvania. Apparently after Monroeville is gone. Where are you at, man? Where would be the oldest? Because I know Monroeville Mall was built in 1969, 68. And that was one of the oldest still operating malls in the U.S. because it was one of the first, big indoor malls in the U.S. at the time. So yeah, that's eh, it sucks. It sucks. It sucks. But we're here, therapy session. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get through it. Good to see you, my man. We got Nathan B is in the house. Nathan, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Sadly, we need to take the bad news with the good. There's still time to build some good Monroeville memories. That's right. That's right. That's what I try to remind myself, and it's weird because like I'm still not fully convinced that it's going away. That type of thing. I'm still in denial, I guess. I was saying this the other day. I was like, my brain just won't accept the fact that it's hard for my brain to accept that, oh, that's not going to exist anymore. It's not going to be there because it has my entire life. From the time I discovered Dawn of the Dead to now, it's like that was a place you could go. Like, and when I first discovered that when I was younger, I was like, holy shit, that's a real mall. It's like a real place you can go. Like that was always my dream. Like I remember in high school writing essays. You'd have to do like, when you'd first get to class, there'd be the thing on the board. It would ask you a question. You have to write like a couple of paragraph essay or something to start the class. And of course they'd ask like, where's your dream vacation? If you could take a dream trip to anywhere, where would it be? And other classmates would be, Italy or Japan or, Australia or wherever, Mine was always Monroeville, Pennsylvania. And the teacher would always just be like, okay. And then I'd read it and they'd be like, all right, I guess that's cool. So I'm like, yeah, that's where I want to go, and finally did, and I hated that I waited so long to do it, but I'm glad that I finally did. And yeah, I mean, I urge all of you, again, I mean, I've been doing this since I started this channel. Anytime I bring up Monroeville Mall, I urge all of you to, if you haven't been, go. There's no time, literally no time better than the present. The time is now, as they say. I'm gonna light this candle here. I always have a candle lit when I do this, and I didn't have it, so I was like, oh, something's weird. It's not that aroma in the air. Steven says, to anyone who missed last week's stream, please make sure to watch the Martin incident. Yeah, the Martin incident. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. We were just in agreement that Martin has the best VHS covers of any Romero film, period. And I actually had to go back. I'm watching it now as a... And I wish I would have included this one, but I don't know if they actually ever did this on VHS, but the Arrow Blu-ray over in the UK, or it's actually a DVD, the Arrow DVD from back in the day over in the UK actually has all those posters included on like the little insert cards and stuff. That one may be my favorite. Of any of the VHS covers that we looked at last weekend, this one, like seriously, may be my favorite, just because it's so fucking out there. But yeah, I was going back looking at this. I was like, oh, it actually includes like little cards of all those covers. I'm dropping shit everywhere. But yeah, quick plug. If you guys, this is still like even the Second Sight box set is great, but this actually includes Vampire with it as well, which is one of the only ways that you can get that movie, which is a big reason why I bought it. But it is region locked, but. Get a region-free Blu-ray player, whatever. It says the most egregious decision since the O.J. Simpson verdict. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll scream and rage. Well, I will just say it was a controversial stream, if nothing else. It was a controversial stream. But it was a lot of fun. Granny says, I watched the Candy doc earlier too. Very well done. Yeah. I loved John Candy when I was younger because, I mean, he was in everything that I love. Home Alone, Uncle Buck, even when I got older, like Armed and Dangerous is one of my like guilty pleasure movies with him and Eugene Levy. Like I used to watch that all the time because it was always on like HBO, Showtime, something like that. So I watched that on repeat. back in the day. So yeah, I've always been a big John Candy fan, and it was always weird because I felt like, um, it just felt like for years after his passing, it felt like he was almost forgotten. Like nobody really talked about John Candy anymore. It was almost like when Chris Farley passed, he kind of overtook John Candy as like America's big funny guy. Um, so it's really cool that there's documentaries and stuff, and people haven't forgotten about the amazing. Um, Actor, comedian, whatever you want to call him, John Candy. I mean, he was, yeah, and he was just one of those guys that he makes you smile whenever you see his face and he smiles, type of thing. And of course, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is uh, one of my all-time favorite movies. Period. So, um, let's see. Yeah, definitely check that out. It's on Amazon right now. Actually, I think it's an Amazon original. Um, but real quick, I must intervene with this.
You never know.
Never know. Zombie Historian, thank you so much, man. $10 super chat says rated a bank for you down in South Florida. Well, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you sharing the loot. Um, appreciate it, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, man. And you were one of those that finally made the trip and actually made the back in June Living Dead weekend. Finally got to Monroeville Mall. Very very happy for you and glad you finally got to do that, man. So yeah, everybody fall in line. Everybody make the trip now before it's too late. But thank you very much, sir. Cheers to you. I appreciate it. Um, hope you're doing well, my man. Hope you and the family are happy and enjoying your weekend, as they say. Let me get back to, let me see where we were. Since this Candy was never a healthy guy, he lived longer than expected, I'm sure. Well, in the documentary, he talks about his dad dying when he was 5, and his dad was only 35, so he always knew, like, mom living on borrowed time type of thing. But yeah, apparently, like, he drank, smoked, all that stuff, which again is like something I'm, you know, the older I get, the more especially when you watch that documentary and you see like, his kids talking about, growing up without their dad and stuff like that. It makes you realize like, oh shit, like maybe I need to get my shit together. So, quitting smoking and, eating better, exercising, stuff like that. The older you get, the more you got to do that if you plan to be around long. So lesson learned. Michelle says John Candy was the best thing to ever come out of Canada. I would agree with that. It's him and Norm. I would say Norm Macdonald's probably up there for me. But yeah, great. Canada did right by me with John Candy. I'll say that. Ed, what's going on, brother? Ed Trader Music and Entertainment says, well, the night house is gone, Dawn Airport, etc. Way of the world sometimes. Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day too. Which I'll throw it out there for you guys if any of you guys can think of anything, but because I've been trying to think of something equivalent to the mall, or like a situation like this in the past where like a location or a setting for a movie is being destroyed, and it's like, can anybody think of anything similar, like a location from a movie that means so much to so many people that's in danger of being destroyed or is being destroyed? Because I was thinking, the night house was gone shortly after they finished the film, so nobody made it to that location. Like, you can still go to the area where the house was, and you can kind of see like, okay, so that's where the truck would have blown up and that's where the house would have been, type of thing. But the house, like, I don't think anybody, like, that was pretty much it. That's why they got the house to shoot the film in to begin with, because it was going to be demolished. So they were like, hey, we can do that for you. So yeah, the house from night is gone. The airport. It's funny enough. It's crazy. Like, it happened. It's so close together. The airport and the mall both going away. It's like there's really not much left in Monroeville anymore. There's really, once the mall's gone, it's like, why? I mean, the Creepshow house is still there. Of course, the red house right next to where the airport used to be is still there. But yeah, it's just like one after another, these things are slowly disappearing. But can anybody think of anything else similar to the Monroeville Mall? Like the Halloween Michael Myers house, maybe, but that's a house. It's in California still. I was thinking maybe like the Texas Chainsaw House, maybe, but that's still being preserved. But it's been like relocated. It's not in the spot where it used to be, and it's kind of just used as, I don't know, I think it's still a restaurant. I think it's still a restaurant, or maybe a bar now, I think. And it's all about, the Texas Chainsaw lore and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But I don't know. Can anybody think of any other locations like famous of any type of movie, not just horror, but like, I'm trying to think like, the Bates Motel, like but that, the Bates House, that was just, I don't know. Like I can't think of anything equivalent to the Monroeville Mall for Dawn, and maybe that's why it's so, I don't know, such a big deal, because it's kind of unprecedented in a way. But can anybody think of anything that's kind of an equivalent to the mall, and that people, because I mean the chapel from the cemetery, which luckily Evans City Cemetery will pretty much always be there unless Walmart decides they want to build a Walmart in fucking Evans City, then they may buy that plot of land and dig up all those bodies and ship them out. I don't know, but they were able to save the chapel years back. That was a big thing. But it's such a different situation. Like it's easier to save something like a chapel in a cemetery as opposed to a shopping mall on a big plot of land that's worth, millions. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't been able to think of anything equivalent. But if anybody else has any ideas out there, let me know. Brandon, what's going on, brother? Brandon Salisbury. Hey, everyone. Who am I going to see at Living Dead Weekend? You'll be seeing me. Quite a few people. I know some people aren't going to be able to make it this year, unfortunately, but or in October at least. But hopefully, with the news of the mall and stuff, it looks like there's a fairly good chance there will be another one, at least one more next year. So, fingers crossed for that, if nothing else. But I'll be there, my man. I'm looking forward to seeing you, and hope you're doing well. Yeah, Michelle, we'll be seeing you. What's the Martin incident? So yeah, ranking. So basically, we were ranking the VHS covers from around the world, and Martin was the only one that made it like top tier, S tier, all of them, because they're just all interesting or cool in some way. So we agreed on all those, and obviously some people took umbrage with that, I guess. Matt says, "Bummed, I'm gonna miss you guys in a few weeks. Fingers still crossed for next June." Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. But yeah, it's looking okay. It's looking okay for that right now. But again, you just never know, because we'll talk about it. But from hearing from the mayor of Monroeville, he's spoken on it, and he's kind of said like, oh, it's taken the company, Cypress Equities. They've said that it's been taking longer than they expected to kind of get the wheels in motion for all this. So I'm guessing if they had their druthers, they would be in the process of, demolishing that mall as early as next year. But hopefully we can, put that off as long as possible. And however we can, I don't know. But like I said, it's just that weird, helpless feeling of like, what can you do? I know people have been trying to do like, oh, make it a landmark, a historic landmark, or sign a petition, or, but there's really there's not much you can do about that, when it comes to, something like that. Does anybody want a dog? I will auction off a dog live on the air tonight if anybody is interested in a dog. I don't know what kind of dog. She's a mutt, if you guys can't tell. But she's gotten on my last nerve tonight. All day, man, all day. She's insane. I'll sell it to you cheap. Oh, wait a minute. What's this?
You never know.
Oh, $10 super chat. Brandon, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. So here's some money for the Iron City Beer Fund. Yes, I will definitely need that. Plan on bringing a case back home again to try to last me a few months again. Looking forward to seeing all of you. Looking forward to seeing you too, man. Thank you so much for that. And hey, if anybody wants to throw a super chat for like $20, I'll ship the dog to you, whatever. I kid. I love her. She's just annoying. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. And I'll never get tired of that fucking super chat thing. I need to make a new one because I know it's going to start getting on people's nerves. But I just love the fucking snapshot of that. It's perfect. I just love that scene in general. Um, but thank you, man. I appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you too. Uh, where was Michelle says we like to separate our turkey holidays more than you Americans. Also, Blood Rage is the bomb. Yeah, you were putting that movie over pretty hard earlier. Yeah, I guess that does make sense. I mean, I can see that defense for having Thanksgiving in October. I can see that defense because yeah, Thanksgiving. I look forward to like the turkey and the stuffing so much by the time Thanksgiving rolls around in November that Christmas time, usually somebody does it again. It's like, oh, more turkey, more stuff, and then it's just like, okay, like I kind of appreciate. Like I used to date a girl whose grandma was like a full-blooded Italian. So Christmas, she instead of like turkey and stuff, she would do like spaghetti and stuffed shells and fresh bread and stuff like that. And I always look forward to that. I was like, oh, so awesome. I'd love to do that again. Just fucking spaghetti for Christmas. I'm good with that. Um, since this Phantasm 2 has the variety of balls. Yeah, they really go like so the first one the ball is very mysterious, the sphere, But as they go on, like they almost become characters of their own. They get more of a backstory. They get more of an explanation. Um, and it's cool. I dig it. I don't know. Phantasm is one of those series, man. It's like everyone is like, yeah, the original stands alone for me because it's the original. I put it on a pedestal. Like it was in my top 10 favorite non-Romero horror films. But the sequels are good, man. The sequels actually like add to the lore, and it's kind of like a never-ending story. Like it's a saga that continues. It doesn't seem to go back and rehash anything really, and I appreciate that about those films. Um, Granny says before rewatching my rewatching of the sequels, I'd say 1, 4, 2, and 3, but I definitely need to revisit them all. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I need to revisit 4. I haven't seen 4 in years. Like I remember very little of it. I remember watching that years ago, and that's next on my list. Like I said, I just finished 3 last night, so 4 is either tomorrow night or sometime this week. Just been in a heavy Phantasm mood this spooky season, and why not? Stugas, what's going on, brother? Good to see you, Grant. Hope you're doing well, my man. Um, Matt says, tune into Grande. Yep, 1023. We'll get balls deep in thoughts on the sequels. Looking forward to that one, man. Um, Definitely looking forward to that because that's one movie I know you're a huge fan of. Matt used to do a like a fan website back in the day for Phantasm, and I can't wait to get let you get deep, balls deep, as you say, in those films. Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Everybody tune into that over on Grande's channel for sure. Um, okay, this is minus Palmer in Eastern Pennsylvania, built in '73. Okay. Uh, yeah, because most of the malls in Pittsburgh in general are pretty much gone at this point. Although I did see somebody comment on a video the other day. They were talking about a mall in Bethel Park, I believe it was, that he says looks exactly like the Monroeville Mall architecture-wise and everything. So I'm kind of curious about that. I'd like to go check that out. Maybe when I'm there in a couple of weeks, just to kind of see. Because if nothing, if we don't actually have the Monroeville Mall, like maybe there's a mall that kind of looks like it, so you can kind of get that vibe. Because he says he thinks they used the same contractors for it or something like that back in the day. Um, but yeah, I mean, just malls in general, they're kind of that's the thing. I mean, malls in general are kind of passe at this point, unfortunately, um, for a whole bevy of reasons, really. Um, Spheres deep, yeah, yeah, can't wait for that one. Todd says I got to see the mall a few years ago. Good time. Very cool, very cool. Um, yeah, it is pretty hilarious, and that they all turned that Martin poster. A lot of those Martin posters are pretty funky, I gotta say, but I love them for just different reasons, I guess. I don't know. Todd says, is there a Martin 4K? There is a Martin 4K. It is over on the other shelf, so I can't reach it at this moment. But it's Second Sight. Came out over in the UK a couple of years ago. There's a standard, but there is a box set as well. But that's the only Martin 4K that I know of that has come out so far. Maybe there's some kind of like bootleg or something overseas that I'm not aware of. But It's a really good box set, really good collection there on that one. Some really good documentaries and interviews. One of my favorite documentaries, the Taste the Blood of Martin documentary that's included on that, is amazing documentary on the making of Martin. It's got interviews with Christine Romero. It's really interesting to hear her talk about her experiences on that film, because that's kind of where her and George kind of met around that same time. So you get her recollections and stories about that. But then you also got Gornick, um, Amplis, and uh, fuck, who's the? Why am I blanking? Why am I blanking? Anybody, anybody. It's Gornick, Amplis, and why am I blanking? Anybody, anybody want to help me here? Save me from my brain. Anyway, they kind of walk around Braddock and talk about their memories. Um, of the mall, or not the mall. See, my brain's on the mall. See, I'm fucked in the head right now. Give me a break. That's right. Thank you very much, John. Thank you. I was waiting for you specifically. Tom Dubinsky. That's right. Uh, it's been a while since I've seen that documentary. But yeah, it's a really cool documentary. Check it out. It's the Second Sight box set, the same company that did the Dawn box set some years back. I can't believe I fucking blanked on Tom Dubinsky. I'm telling you, this whole mall news thing is really fried my brain, I think, because that's all I've been thinking about all week long, and I couldn't wait to get on here and discuss it and fucking empty my head of all my thoughts and feelings about it. But um, so yeah, my apologies, Tom. How can you forget Tom Dubinsky? Now I'm just I gotta retire. I gotta retire. I'm not worthy of doing this anymore. Jeff, what's going on, brother? Down is up. Boy, what's up, everyone? Welcome to spooky season. What's up, brother? Good to see you, my man. Um, Rick says, I feel so bummed that having seen the original Dawn of the Dead 78 in the theaters during its release, when it was released on home VHS and then DVD, etc., getting my nephews to like it when they were older. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is a rough feeling, because you can't really do much about it, but it is what it is. That's America. That's capitalism for you. That's Walmart. Because everybody knows nothing revitalizes a community quite like our friends at Walmart. Um, yeah, man. Seth, I'm looking forward to watching Dawn on the big screen for the first time. Living Dead weekend. Yeah, that's announced. And tickets, I think, are still available for that. I think I saw the other day where there's about 25%. I think they're at 75% capacity on that one. So there's still tickets available for that if anybody's going to Living Dead weekends. That Saturday night, midnight screening of Dawn of the Dead in the mall. That's like a bucket list thing for me, since it's like the dream of, like, to see Dawn of the Dead in the theater. Seeing Dawn in the theater was like a bucket list dream for me for the longest time. Did that. Now seeing it in the mall, forget about it. I can die a happy man. Um, and I says, I stand corrected. Plymouth Mall is 1966, and they still got Dawn style round water fountain. Okay, where's the so Plymouth Mall? Where's that? I don't know Eastern Pennsylvania geography quite as well. I think I lit this candle and I'm about to set the house on fire. Rick says the site location that the majority of Dawn of the Dead focused on in Monroeville Mall will be closing soon. I have never had attended a weekend, hear of it, but something I should. Oh yeah, man, on your to-do list for sure. Like I said, if you can't make it in a couple weeks, obviously no biggie. But like I said, hopefully there's a good chance there'll be another one. Hopefully this coming June next year. But again, like I said, when it comes to these things, you never know. So it's not official yet, but fingers crossed that, and I'm hoping there'll be, hopefully a big Dawn reunion of like everybody you can possibly drag out from under rocks. So like just get them all there, just fuck it, go all out for it, and have one big final send off, and then we can all take sledgehammers and get pieces of them all and say fuck it. Which I'll be there when I've already told my fiance, I'm like, dude, I'm going up there with a U-Haul when the demolition begins, and I'm getting as much shit as I can. She's like, where are you gonna put all that? It's like, we have a garage. You just park outside. You just park in the driveway. We'll fill that up with the garage. Yeah, Jeff got the the helicopter zombie from Distinctive Dummies. Yeah, those look really cool. I saw Uncle Bill over on Dead Pit was doing a review. He got his in here recently, and they look really fucking cool. Very limited. Um, so if you didn't get your hands on those when they were announced, they're pretty hard to find. Sometimes they'll pop up on eBay, but you're gonna be spending a couple $100 at least on those things. Steven says great outdoors and who's Harry Crumb are underrated. John Candy films, a very funny comedian. Yeah, all his stuff is great. Another one that I liked was Only the Lonely, which is like early '90s, early to mid '90s. Underrated candy. Like it's not groundbreaking or anything like that, but it's one that I had never seen until here recently, and finally did get to watch it. And I was like, it's just charming guy. Just you love his charm. That was the thing about John Candy. Just one of the most charming dudes. Um, Blake says when I saw Dawn 3D a couple years ago, it sucked because the sound was horrible. Um, yeah, I don't know if they've ever done like a new mix on that original soundtrack. I don't know if that because I seem to kind of remember that too, watching it when some of the sound, especially in the beginning. I think it got better as the movie went on, or maybe my ears adjusted to it. But I remember thinking like, yeah, the sound's not the greatest. So yeah, that would be great. I'd love an updated an updated mix on that soundtrack at some point. Um, I'm not a big Shatner guy. Loved him in Halloween, but that's about it. Never been a big Shatner guy. He always just came off to me. Although you can't say like the dude's 90-something years old. Dude looks great, so whatever he's doing is working for him. But never been a big Shatner guy. Um, Nathan, I like Candy and Heavy Metal too. I don't know if I've ever seen that one. Is that the animated movie from back in the day? I don't think I've ever seen that. Is he in that? Is that the one you're talking about, or that's the only one, that's the only Heavy Metal that I'm aware of, off the top of my head. Um, Todd, yeah, isn't the TV studio from Dawn still? Yes, the TV studio is still there. That's a location that I wanna visit. I know Paul Farver. I know he's been there, and he said they're very accommodating, very cool. It's still a TV station. But he said a lot of it's changed on the inside. A lot of it's updated. It's a lot of digital stuff now. A lot of that old stuff that was in it's pretty unrecognizable at this point. But still, like once you're there, it's kind of like okay, like it's pretty cool because this is where it happened. This is where it happened, which is like a big part of like locations and stuff. Like I know some people don't get it and that's not their thing, and I totally understand that. But to quote my buddy John Vulo, it's one of my favorite quotes. Because I never thought of it this way, but when he said it, I was like, yeah, that's it. Like it's spot on. It's like why do we dig for all this information? Why do we visit these locations? And then his quote was, it's the closest we'll ever come to actually being on set when the movie was being made, and it's so true. It's like when you're in the mall, it's like you can stand in a spot and be like, oh, George once stood here. Gornick had a camera set up right here. I can tell by the shot. This is where they were standing when they were when there's no more room in hell. They're standing in front of the J. It's weird, and you got to be really hardcore into the shit, I guess, to get it. But yeah, it really is like the closest you can come to actually just being there on set while they're filming it. I love that quote. And it's just so true. And then why the thirst for knowledge and the thirst for information about it. It's like you want to know more, so you're informed enough to know like, oh, this was going on that day, so you can kind of build the image in your head of like, oh, so that's what it was like. Brandon says I swung by the Creepshow house back in August, but it seems like it may have new owners. Oh, really? The sign and sheet and comic are gone from a few years ago. Oh, that sucks. I hope not. Because that was the cool thing about that Creepshow house, because it's literally in a neighborhood right next to where the Monroeville airport, used to be. And the owners of that house back in, I don't know if it's changed, but 'cause I didn't go back in June. So I didn't see it. But yeah, typically if you go by that house, they got the pumpkin in the window. They got the trash can out front with the comic book in the trash can. And they got a little clipboard outside where you can sign and who stopped by, where you're from, type of thing. It's very, very cool. That would suck. I would hate to see again, like that's we're talking about bad news. That would be some bad news if it's under new ownership and if people try to go by at some very suspicious types, because that's what happened with the Red House. The girl that actually, those of you who haven't seen my Monroeville Mall logo tattoo that I got back in June, me and Matt both got. The girl that did my tattoo actually owns that house, the Red House in Dawn of the Dead that you can see in the background, where the the National Guardsmen and the rednecks and all that. That Red House, she owns that house. She lives there now, and she was asking. She was like, why do so many people just like wander through my yard and like are taking pictures of my house? It's so weird. And I'm like, yeah, sorry about that. Um, but she was cool. She was cool, and at least it's a cool story that that girl got to do my tattoo and also owns that fucking house. But yeah, that would kind of suck. I hope that's not the case. Hopefully they were just out of town or something. But um, John says Pasadena stood in for Haddonfield, Illinois. Yeah, it's out on the West Coast. A lot of Carpenter locations and stuff are still out there. A big one, which I'm not the biggest fan of the movie. Like I like the movie a lot, but I'm not like a diehard fan of it or anything. But I would love to visit this location. Is the lighthouse from The Fog, because that's still there. I would love to visit that location. I just think that's a killer location to visit. But yeah, there's a lot of Carpenter stuff out on the West Coast that I'd love to visit sometime. Oh, Seth, have you been to any Carpenter locations out your way? I see, like I've never been out there, so to me, like the West Coast is just like this one, like 50-mile radius of shit, but it's obviously not. So I just imagine that Seth's been to all these places. Seth's a well-traveled guy anyway. The dude just got back from fucking China, for God's sake. Um, but yeah, there's quite a bit out there. Um, Kenneth, what's up, Kenneth? Kenneth Costa's in the house. His Conjuring house in Rhode Island shut down. Sam, I was never a big Conjuring guy. I saw that first one, and I was just like, I don't know what the big deal is. I've never been a really big fan of like just ghost story movies or anything like that. Um, but yeah, there's definitely still some. There's definitely plenty of locations and stuff out there for people to visit, but I don't know if anything actually measures up to the Monroeville Mall in terms of like what it meant to the movie, what it's meant to the fans over the years. Because like I've said a billion times, it's like that mall was a character in that movie in Dawn of the Dead. Um, it's like the main character, really. I mean that's the big thing, and I don't know. It's kind of like finding out that it's going away is kind of like somebody coming up to you and saying like, "Oh, Batman's dying next year." It's like, what? That can't happen. Like, how could that's impossible? How could that be? It's like your favorite character, your favorite, comic book character, your favorite movie character is, they're dying next year. Get over it. It's like, oh, so yeah, it's kind of hard to fathom. I don't know. It's kind of hard to fathom. Um, Amityville House, yeah, Amityville House. That's a big one. That's a big one. But again, it's like it's hard to compare because one is a house, one is a shopping center, one's a mall, like a functioning retail place. That's if a house is just, it's very rare that a house gets bulldozed for a Walmart or something like that. Um, Blake says the house used in Phantasm as the mausoleum is still there. Matt, have you been to that, man? Because that was up in the Northeast somewhere, I think, wasn't it? Wasn't that where that was filmed? Jeff says YouTuber Days with Jordan the Lion dropped an incredible film location vlog on Dawn from the mall to the airport and more. Great watch. I watched. I've been in communication with this guy through email, going all the way back to Living Dead Weekend back in June, and we kind of he reached out and we kind of lost track, and he reached out again here recently. Wants to come on and discuss things. He's got a great channel with some really good Romero stuff on there, some really good analysis and breakdown of dawn, day, night. It's called Orion Trips, all one word, Orion Trips. There's a really great, it's like a 30-minute video on, it's called Dawn of the Dead, Our Addiction to Information. And it's a really, really fascinating, really great breakdown and analysis of Dawn of the Dead and the use of like television and the use of radio and the addiction that we have for information and constantly wanting to watch the TV for whatever reason. Really good stuff. Check that out. I'm gonna try to get him on the channel soon to kind of discuss some things with him because I mean he's got really really sharp perspective on things, and I really am attracted to that. Um, so yeah, check that out. Orion Trips, all one word. And he's got plenty of other stuff on other movies too. He's a really sharp guy. Um, yeah, that's one I thought of too. Since Silver Shamrock Factory from Halloween 3 was supposedly demolished in North Carolina. Yeah, that was very recent too. I remember when that was a big thing. Um, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Because that was what, a couple of years ago that they demolished that. Because I know I saw pieces of that popping up on eBay and stuff. You know, kind of like they do with the mall. You know, pieces of brick and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. John says the mall itself likely uh, contravenes modern safety regulations given its age. Um, I don't know. I know the Wi-Fi is really shitty in there. You can't get service when you're in that mall. Just ask Synth. Um, but yeah, I don't know if it's just, if it's beyond repair or anything at this point. I just don't think anybody. I don't think any company looks at it and says, it's worth the money that it would take to really revitalize that mall. I don't see a company, I didn't see a company saying like, oh, it's worth the time and the money to invest in it to really, revitalize it and bring it back to its former glory. I think as is the case with most any mall in the country these days, people look at it, it's like, oh, well, that'll be gone in 5 years. Why bother? Which is sad and unfortunate, but honestly, probably true. For most shopping malls, unless something changes, something drastically happens in culture, which could happen. I mean, fuck, it could come back around where malls become cool again because of like nostalgia, or it's like the next generation comes up and they have a weird fascination. I see it now with like music, like a lot of bands and stuff from my generation. Like so many young kids now are into Nirvana and Deftones and Korn, and it's just like for a while there it was like, oh, that's the stuff from the 90s and nobody talks about that. But then again, there was a fascination from my generation with music from the 80s and the 70s, so it may come back, but I doubt it. We'll see. um it's in the spot where the dog that played Toto in the Wizard of Oz was disrupted to build a road. That one kind of fits. When was that? Was that quite some time ago? Because that movie is almost 100 years old at this point. But then again, you start thinking about it, it's like, well, fuck, Dawn of the Dead's almost 50 years old at this point. So, I said it's as the great Tracy Lawrence once said, "Time marches on, brothers on a diet." I'm gonna sing that whole song for you. I love that song. Steven says, can't think of anything right now except some of the vintage casinos in Las Vegas where various movies and TV shows are filmed. Hey, fuck, those may be going away soon. If you guys have heard the news on Vegas lately, apparently they're struggling. People can't afford to go fucking give them all their money these days. Apparently tourism's really down in Vegas right now. Kenneth says, any ballpark, what a trip to Living Dead Weekend from Florida would be? That'd be a question probably for Zombie Historian. He made the trip back in June. He's down in South Florida. Um, just depends. I mean, if you want to drive or fly. 'Cause I know people that drive. I know Matt, he's in Georgia, around the Atlanta area. He drives up every time. It's usually about a days long trip. So that'd be more of a question for him, I think. Um, I know some, but I know some. I know quite a few people that actually make the trip from down in Florida. Um, I know Michael Tomaso. I know he usually makes the trip because I think he's based down in Florida. So yeah, I couldn't say. Um, Travel and stay included. Yeah, I couldn't say. For me, coming from Indiana, like southern Indiana, around the border of Kentucky, it's about an 8-hour drive. And I mean, you can find a hotel. Like most of the hotels around Monroeville area are a little steep depending on the weekend and what's going on. But hey, there's always the red roof. That's kind of my thinking. And coming up here in a couple of weeks, I was just like, I'm a little tight for money this time, but it's always the red roof. $200 for a few days, and it's not bad. It's not the worst hotel I've ever stayed in by far. Um, Or you could always stay in Cranberry, which is like 30 minutes from Monroeville, but it's like right in the middle. It's right close to Evans City, so you're right close to the cemetery if you want to go there and visit the cemetery. And you can get a nice Clarion Inn, man. You can't go wrong with the Clarion Inn in Cranberry Township. Um, It's like usually like 85, 90 bucks a night, and it's a pretty, a pretty decent hotel. Like it's very comfortable, very clean. So I give them recommendation for sure. Um, Riverman, what's going on, brother? Riverman over at the Revival House podcast. Watching them Friday nights, guys. I can't recommend it enough. They're going back from the beginning, from the first edition of Fangoria, and going through it page by page. Fango Fridays over on the Revival House podcast. Check it out over on YouTube, Revival House. It's really fun to go back, because I've never seen a lot of that stuff. But it starts right around this time that Dawn of the Dead came out. There's Phantasm articles and all that from like the late 70s. Really interesting stuff. And those guys are fantastic. Hilarious. Those guys always crack me up every time I watch them. So check them out, Revival House. Riverman says, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because of the food, beer, and football. That is true. You can't beat that. You got football, food. You don't have to worry about the stress of giving gifts or receiving gifts. Like for me, I'm more stressed about receiving gifts than I am giving. I love gift giving, but like receiving gifts, I'm always like, oh, I don't want to, I hope I don't make a face or something to offend anybody or upset anybody, Not that I'm like, oh, what is this shit? But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm much more of a giver, I guess. I like coming up with some wacky gift ideas, especially for my family's like Secret Santa and shit. But good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Since says I dated an Italian, her family had nonstop food, way too much. Oh yeah, nonstop. Those Italians, they don't stop. It's like I remember this years ago. It was like an interview with Scorsese's mom, when they were doing Raging Bull, and he had De Niro gain all that weight in Raging Bull. And they were interviewing Scorsese's mom, and his mom they were asking him about it. She was like, oh yeah, I made him, spaghetti and stuffed shells and, meatballs and sausage and peppers. And that was me. I fattened him up for that role. And then they asked him about, well, then he had to lose all that weight. And she got real serious and looked at the interview and was like, I had nothing to do with that. She wanted nothing to do with him losing the weight. So yeah, Italians can eat, man. And they're proud of it. They don't give a fuck. I just think of like, Tony Soprano. Like that's the ideal Italian, I think. I had nothing to do with that. Todd says I grew up in England. Our Christmas was usually goose, which I can't stand. Much rather have turkey. I've never had goose. It seems gamey, as they say. John says, wonder how long the Association of Dan effectively kept the mall ongoing. Oh, you're talking about Don. I was like, who's Dan? Dan who? I don't think, because I mean, there's a lot of people, and you see this a lot, because I'm in a lot of the Facebook groups for like Monroeville memories, and a lot of people have no idea that Dawn of the Dead was ever filmed there. Now, I think here in recent years, because for the longest time, that mall, the owners from back in the day wanted nothing to do with Dawn of the Dead. They didn't want to acknowledge it. They didn't want to say boo to a goose about Dawn of the Dead. But then when the mall sold, new owners came in, they became a little more open to it. Now you got, the Living Dead Museum in there. There's George's bust is in that mall. There's art on the wall in one of the hallways that has the airport zombie from Dawn on it. So now they're a little more open to, because really and I don't know. It's like you have a shopping mall that has a built-in fan base. Even if it is like a niche cult audience, it still has a resonance with a certain group of people that they will travel from around the world just to visit this mall. There's no other mall that I can think of. I mean, maybe Mall of America or something like that. But no other mall in this country has that advantage that this mall has. And I think that maybe more than anything has kept that mall going all these years. But so yeah, I think it's probably a 50-50 there. Like, I think some of it is that, and some of it's probably just, Monroeville. The town of Monroeville has seen its issues over the years. We'll just say that. That's another thing about the mall that you see people talk about all the time. It's like, oh, well, people get stabbed and shot there all the time. So, which I've been there multiple times. I've never had any issues with anybody and never seen anything bad. But that's just how it's going to be, now. I mean, shit happens everywhere. And if you think like, oh, shenanigans never take place at Walmart, that'll fix the situation. It's like, really? Like, you throw a rock on YouTube and you'll find a video of somebody getting knifed to death in fucking Walmart. Maybe not YouTube. They'd probably ban that. But Twitter, for sure. You can go to Twitter and just type in man beaten to death in a Walmart and there's like 1,000 videos you can watch. Um, so yeah, I don't see the correlation there. People are like, oh, good, let it go. Like bring in a Walmart. Too much crime and stuff happens there. And it's like, no, it's just how it's gonna be. Like there's nothing you can do about that. Except maybe get better security or something. I don't know. Nathan says really like Phantasm 1, 2, and 3. We'll need to watch the rest. Maybe watch a long time. Maybe, dude, I'd be down for that. I don't know. It doesn't have anything to do with Romero, really, but I'm sure I could easily talk Landrum into joining in on those. But yeah, I love Phantasm. I love those. I just love the vibe, the story, the saga of it. It's great. Jeff says SCTV is legendary. John Candy unfortunately died. Yeah, Diane Keaton passed away. I saw that today. Great actress. Haven't seen her anything recently, but yeah, another name that I grew up with. The Woody Allen movies, Godfather. The one that I always watched when I was younger is The Other Sister. You guys remember that movie, The Other Sister, with Juliette Lewis? She was like the mom in that. She's been in a billion things. Yeah, that was sad to see today that she'd passed away. Larry, what's going on, brother? WGON TV, what's up, guys? Bonnie and Michelle. Yeah, you got to be specific, Be inclusive, Larry. Larry's going to be joining me on a stream next weekend, actually, a pre-Living Dead weekend. Like I always do the LDW preview shows. Well, next weekend will be kind of a special one, kind of a different one. I'll be doing a Living Dead weekend preview show with Larry, as well as the boys from Dead Pit Radio. Uncle Bill and CK, the Creeping Kentuckian, will be joining us as well. I think we're going to be doing like a dual stream, so I'll be live on this channel as well as live on the Dead Pit channel. So that'll be pretty cool, and Larry will be joining us, and we'll be talking all about Living Dead weekend and our plans, because the Dead Pit guys are going to be there, so it should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that conversation. So that'll be next weekend. I think we're going to be doing it next Sunday night. The 19th, is that the date? Next Sunday? So yeah, we're looking forward to that one, so you guys make sure to tune in for that. Let's see. Oh boy, I'm really fucking behind on these comments. Riverman says, what is your go-to horror movies you watch every Halloween? Late Night with the Devil has become one of my yearly rewatches. I just saw that last year, so I can't say it's a yearly rewatch, but I did enjoy it. I like that one quite a bit. Phantasm is obviously a go-to every year. Just the original soundtrack for the first Phantasm is like the music that I play on Halloween night when trick-or-treaters are coming up. I usually got that going, or the Halloween 3 soundtrack. Trick or Treat, the 2007 anthology film, that's one that I recently discovered not long ago, but honestly, outside, and I think I mentioned this in the Dead Pit chat the other night, but honestly, outside of the original Halloween, Trick or Treat may be the most perfect Halloween film, like Halloween horror film, because it just captures everything about the holiday that I just love, and it's perfect. So yeah, Trick or Treat's a good one. Of course, the Halloween 3 is right up there with the first Halloween for sure. What are some other go-to Halloween season films for me? Let me look over here. Suspiria is a good one just because of the colors. Typically like Return of the Living Dead, Evil Dead 2, stuff like that. That's kind of got the Halloween, like the fun vibe of Halloween. That's usually what I like to go to. Kind of has a fun to it. Which, speaking of fun, making her, it's becoming a weekly cameo, but making her weekly cameo, it's the one and only Everly Dawn. Everly Dawn, what's going on, girl? What are you doing? All right, we're gonna interview you. Look at the camera. Hey.
What?
Look. There. See? All right, I'm gonna ask you, what's your favorite? What movies do you like to watch for Halloween? Do you like Chucky?
Yeah.
Do you like Killer Clowns?
Marie?
What did we watch last night? Phantasm. Oh, she's tired. She's just gonna sleep. She's like, I'm not on right now. I didn't either. It was getting quiet. All right, you want to say goodnight, everybody?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. All right, I'm gonna go help her get in bed real quick. I will be right back, guys. But while I'm doing that, I'm gonna give you a quick word from our sponsors. Take a look at this.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
When you want to look good, the place to look is Monroeville Mall.
Signore, with all those fantastic Italian sports cars, why did you buy a Volkswagen Scirocco?
È la più bella macchina mai vista. Meravigliosa, fantastica.
We can see it's beautiful, but what makes a Scirocco so great?
L'andatura, la velocità, la maneggiabilità.
Ah, the speed, the handling, the performance. That's why you bought a Volkswagen Scirocco.
Volkswagen does it.
Why buy some foreign beer when there's Pittsburgh's own Iron City? We not only make our beer in Pittsburgh, we make our homes here. Let's go, Pittsburgh. Show them where you live.
No matter what TV news you watch, catch Nova for sports on 11 Alive.
Oh, Mary, my pictures really turned out great.
Wow, you must have a big camera. Yours are bigger than mine.
It's not the camera. It's Sun Drug. They make them about a third larger.
Oh, keep your fingers off. They'll smear.
Don't worry. Sun Drug's new Super Silk color prints resist fingerprints and scratches.
They must have been expensive.
Not really. Sun Drug prices are lower than many places.
From now on, it's Sun Drug for me and my little camera.
To our sponsors. See, I was prepared this time. See, I was prepared. I knew she was going to come up here. I love her to death. Thanks, guys, for hanging on in there. Where was I? Hope you guys enjoyed that. Anybody know? Quick bit of trivia there. Anybody know who that was in that last commercial there? Anybody know? All right, where was I? Shit, I've lost my place. Hang on. Yeah, Sin says, yeah, but they didn't cruise Braddock after dark. It's an experience. Yeah, everybody do that if you're in the area, or don't do that actually. Yeah, I knew Larry would get it. Yeah, there's quite a few. I found quite a few of those old commercials that Lori did for Chiller Theater back in the day. Had to include at least one of them. All right. Get back here. God, I was really fucking behind on these comments. I'm gonna try to run through them real quick. I'm gonna try to catch up, and then we'll get into the actual news of the situation. We'll get into the bad news. Let's see. I'll just start. If I missed some of you guys' comments, I apologize. Yeah, I like that one. Rick needs to become the east-going llama. Get your ass to Monroeville. I agree with that. Larry says, one thing about demolition. I've heard there could be asbestos, so getting pieces and things may be difficult. Yeah, I imagine that. I suspected that. But we're going to try, right? Yeah, I fully expected that, but what can you do? It's not going to deter me, and I don't think it'll deter you either. Some of the stuff I grabbed from the airport It's like, I don't know about this, but hey, it's worth it if I, if I get cancer from it. What else can you do? Todd says, I have a buddy who lives next door to Indiana Jones's house in L.A. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, L.A. is probably like just, a crazy amount of locations and stuff. Reason to visit L.A. That'd be the only reason that I'd want to visit L.A., to be honest with you, is some of those Carpenter locations and stuff like that. Larry says the Don TV station where they filmed was gutted last fall and it's now offices or something. Oh, really? Damn. Yeah, I was thinking about like coming up here in a couple of weeks when I'm there. There's a couple things I'm planning on doing. Of course, the Romero archive. I plan on doing that on Friday. And then a couple of locations. I think me and Grande, unless plans have changed, I think me and Grande are going to make a trip to the bridge from Tales from the Dark Side. He really wants to see that, and I haven't been there yet, so totally down to check that out. But yeah, that was one of those things I was thinking. I was like trying to reach out, maybe trying to get into that TV station because it's one of those spots I haven't been to yet. Is it still a TV station, or is it just offices now? Or is it just like an office building now? I think the TV station, there's still a TV station there, I believe. Todd says, it still amazes me that the mall owners let them get away with everything they did. Yeah. You wouldn't see that now, for sure. Especially the motorcycles and driving the car through there. Like, it's like, Jesus Christ. But hey, that was the thing. Like, if Romero made it happen. I remember fucking in that documentary when Christine was talking about, they'll never let you do this. Who do you think you are? MGM or something? And it's like, we'll make it happen. And sure shit, he did. Matt says, I think they only put that stuff out at the Creepshow house during Living Dead weekend. Yeah, okay. So yeah, Brandon said, he said August, right? So yeah, maybe it is just for Living Dead weekend. So hopefully that's the case. It'd be funny though if they just let that shit up, all year round. Why not? That's what I would do. Since the Creepshow house also had a right side addition to it compared with the original filming location. Oh, really? I didn't notice that. I've been there 2 times, I think. Been there a couple of times. Larry's saying Creepshow house still has the same owners. They've owned it since fall of 2011. Okay, there you go. So there you go. Good news. There's the good news, folks. Since I need to see the Myers house sometimes. It was actually moved and turned into a dentist office. Yeah, I heard that as well. I heard that it was moved as well. It's funny they just move these houses. Like that's, unless it's like a trailer or something. I've never really heard of like people uprooting houses and moving them all over the place. But yeah, that one and the chainsaw house have both just been uprooted and moved. Which was a video I remember watching. It's on YouTube back in like the early 90s of people these couple of people exploring the chainsaw house when it was still in the original location, and it was like real run down and dilapidated, but it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see it like that back in the day. But yeah, now it's like a bar, I think, restaurant/bar, I think. But it's all like they got all kinds of Texas Chainsaw stuff in it. That's another like trip I need to make at some point, is down there to see that, and the gas station, which, the gas station is basically like a collectible store now. They got all kinds of not just chainsaw stuff, but just horror stuff in general. And they actually have like little cabins and stuff out back that you can actually stay the night at the the gas station from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, that's pretty fucking cool. Todd says, I was a PA on vampires in New Mexico. Oh, that's awesome, man. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Really, some really gorgeous locations. Oh, yeah, I bet. Especially out in New Mexico, that part of the world. That's awesome, man. I didn't know that. Matt says, yeah, the Point Reyes Lighthouse from the fog, only about 2 hours from the Dunsmuir Mansion from Phantasm. Oh, okay. I was thinking it was like northeast for some reason. That makes total sense. We're actually planning a potential trip to both sometime in the near future. That'd be awesome, man. I'd love to do that. Me and Will talked about that a while back. Just a trip going up the coast, on the west coast, just visiting, trying to see as many locations as possible for like a week or something like that. It'd be like a dream trip to do. But Brian, what's up, brother? Brian Stahl's in the house. Good to see you, man. Says, as a Pennsylvania taxpayer, Walmart can pay for their own demolition. Yeah, that's another aspect of this that I haven't talked about yet. But yeah, the Cypress, or I think it's under another company now, they're actually seeking taxpayer funds to help fund the demolition of the mall. It's something like 7.5 million, I think, which is it's like the balls for them to like. I guess if you know what are the worst that can happen is that they say no and they don't get it. But it's like the balls, like Walmart. This company with more money than the federal government is asking the federal government for funds to help build their shit there. But yeah, we'll talk about it because it's in these plans. I think Larry posted it in the Living Dead Weekend group the other day. I remember reading through it and I saw that. I was like, they're looking for money. They don't need it. It's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna destroy this fucking shopping mall, but you guys are gonna pay for it. So, but they'll get it. They'll get it. There's no doubt in my mind. That's really like the one. It's like what I'm sitting here saying. It's like it's a helpless feeling. It's like what can you do? It's like petitions aren't. Walmart will wipe their ass with that petition. Like they don't give a shit. Petitioning and do nothing. They're not gonna make it a historical landmark because it's a place of retail. Like it's a shopping mall. Like it's not. It's their property now. They own it. But I guess the one thing that we could possibly stand in their way is if the taxpayers come together and say, no, we don't want to give them this money to demolish the shopping mall. So maybe like call your local senator or congressman or something. I don't know, but that's pretty much it at this point. That's like one of the only hurdles left in their way from this happening. Because listening to the mayor talk about it, because I watched his comments on everything that's going down. He seems to be all in. Like he's like, yeah, he hasn't even seen any of like the renderings of like what they plan on doing or what's going on. He's like, oh yeah, I've seen like rough sketches and stuff, but like I haven't really seen anything about it yet. But I think it's going to be great. We're going to be great. It's really going to help things out here, and it might. I mean, like I said, I'm biased, of course, but it may be a good thing for the community, I guess. If they got a Walmart, which, like I said, nothing helps. Nothing helps a community more than when a Walmart moves in. Like, what's the worst that can happen? But it's going to be a Walmart slash, what they call mixed use place where it's going to be not just Walmart. I think what I heard is like 25% of their plans involve the Walmart. The other 75% is going to be other shops and entertainment venues and stuff like that. There's going to be more in that area other than just a Walmart. Because, I mean, it's a huge area. If you guys haven't been to Monroeville Mall and seen the land that mall sits on, I mean, it's a massive area. So if they just built a Walmart there, it'd just be like, okay, a Walmart with the world's largest Walmart parking lot. It's like, what else can you do with it? But I have heard also, I did hear that there might be plans for a Walmart data center, I think is what they called it, where they would process a lot of like the online orders and stuff like that, which, yippee, I guess, I don't know. But, so yeah, I don't know. It's going to happen. They're going to get that money. Don't worry about it. They'll get it one way or the other. But, yeah. Every little hurdle helps, I'll just say. Yeah. John says the Amityville house is still here. I live 10 minutes. Oh, I didn't know you lived 10 minutes from it. That's awesome. Yeah, that's still there. So I was wondering if you'd been. I have shots of the Point Reyes Lighthouse. It's down a very steep locked gate, but looks cool, windy as fuck out there. Yeah, I bet. That's awesome, man. I thought you'd been out there. Robert, what's going on, brother? Robert, Night 90. Hello, Mike and all. Good to see you, my man. You're doing well, having a good weekend. Grundy says the Amityville house owners stink. It's literally walking distance from where I'm at. They've gone to the extent of changing the number on the address to trick people into thinking it's not the house. Well, I mean, again, like, talking to the girl that did my tattoo just about the red house that you can see in the background for, 2 seconds in Dawn of the Dead. It's like people are constantly driving by her house, taking pictures of it, walking through her yard. She said, like, she's had people, like, looking in her windows before, which is, like, I totally understand. Like, that can, if you're not a fan of the movie and you don't get it and you don't understand why people are doing this, it can be a really big pain in the ass. And so I couldn't imagine being something as iconic as the Amityville house and being the owners of that thing, which typically, like, if you're buying a house like that, typically you'd kind of know beforehand. It's like, oh, this house was, included in one of the most famous horror films ever made. So just a heads up. So maybe they didn't, quite understand the gravity of it, but still, you'd think you'd kind of have somewhat of a clue that might be a might be the case. Steven says, a non-Romero location I'd love to see is the Batcave entrance/exit from the Batman 66 TV series. Where is that at? Where's that located? I'm guessing Hollywood or something, probably. I've seen it so often. I'd just like to be there once if I could ever manage it. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Do you know where that's actually located at? I just assume all that stuff back in the day was like, Hollywood or Burbank. Everything was in Burbank back in the day, it seems like. I've heard that too, Seth. The Breaking Bad house owners are very angry. People kept throwing pizzas on the roof, part of the show, which is funny, but not cool. Yeah. That's when you go too far, when you're visiting those locations, when you start actually fucking with, especially if it's somebody's house. It's like, be respectful, like, keep a distance, don't be too nosy, don't be too obvious, like, be respectful, because that is somebody's house that they own and live in, and to them, it's just their house. Like, I couldn't imagine, especially if it was something that I had no knowledge of or passion for, like my house. Like, imagine somebody just driving into your driveway and taking pictures of your house just randomly, like, all the time. Could you imagine? I'd be the same way. Like, I'd have a fucking slingshot or some kind of booby trap or something set up, probably. Feels like, oh, did you know that your house was the house from, I don't know, some show or movie or something that I've never heard of or seen? And it's just like, I don't care. Stop. Go away. So I get it, but yeah, exactly, Todd. Riverman says, do you know if George was a fan of any modern movies or filmmakers? I do know, I mean, he loved Shaun of the Dead. Like, when Shaun of the Dead came out, like, I remember hearing about Shaun of the Dead and thinking, like, oh, they're going to make fun of Romero's movies. Like, because all I heard was, like, it's a spoof of Dawn of the Dead, because, I mean, Shaun of the Dead. All I heard was, like, oh, it's a spoof of all these movies that I loved. But then when I heard George come out and just praise it, like, he wore a 4E electric tag on his vest for the entire shoot of Land of the Dead, I think. He was such a big fan of that movie. So he loved those guys. I know he was a big fan of Guillermo del Toro. They were friendly. There's some other modern stuff I remember Romero ever talking about that he enjoyed. I never really heard him talk too much about Tarantino, I don't believe. He always loved John Carpenter. That was one guy he always would bring up if somebody asked, like, whose stuff do you like? He'd always mention Carpenter. He always liked Carpenter's stuff. Argento, always talked about Argento. But typically George, anytime I ever heard George talking about movies, it was always the older stuff, Tales of Hoffman, Big Country, stuff like that, like the movies that he grew up with that inspired him and he loved, kind of like us, like kind of like me. It's like, here I am talking about, a 50-year-old movie, like that's me. Like, there's not, I don't have that same kind of passion. Even if it's a movie that's come out recently that I really enjoyed and really liked, I just don't have that same passion for it, I couldn't talk about it forever and ever like I can this stuff. But yeah, those are some big ones, like, Edgar Wright, Guillermo del Toro, Carpenter. I might be missing some, but those come to mind, right off the bat. Todd says, I know the people who own the Breaking Bad house in Albuquerque put up a fence because they were tired. Yeah. I don't blame them. Yes, I believe you're right, but the Silver Shamrock Factory in Halloween 3 in Loleta, California was torn down. Yeah, like I said, it was like a couple of years ago. Blake says, I just subscribed. You'll have to post a video when visit. Yeah, man. Yeah, for real, Matt. If you ever make that trip, you definitely got to take that drone, man. You got to take the drone. I got to see some drone footage of that, especially the lighthouse. How fucking cool would that be? Drone footage of the lighthouse, man. If you can do it, I don't know if there's like, airspace restrictions or something in an area like that, but how fucking cool would that be? Yeah, you got to do that. You got to do that for sure. Steven, I'm not trying to make light of the mall situation, but it's funny reading legit business articles about the mall and them trying to shoehorn in Romero and the fact that Dawn was filmed there. I mean, it is. They do. I mean, they do. They just kind of throw it in there a lot of the times. But it is like one of the major parts of that mall's legacy, that mall's history. I mean, if you go to the mall, like it's in there now. I mean, George's bust is in there. The Living Dead Museum is in there. Like I said, they got the mural with the airport zombie. Like when you walk in, there's another little area. It's kind of hard to find because it's just kind of buried back because that was put up years ago. But there's a little commemorative area with pictures from from Dawn of the Dead, and it said Welcome to Monroeville Mall, home of Dawn of the Dead type of thing. So it is. I mean, it's part of that mall's history. It's part of that mall's story. It's part of that mall. I mean, movies in general. I mean, Dawn of the Dead wasn't the only movie shot there. Flashdance. There was a scene in Flashdance that was shot there where the ice rink used to be. Zack and Miri Make a Porno, Kevin Smith's movie with Seth Rogen, that was shot there. There's the scene of them coming up the escalator when Seth Rogen's trying to get the money. That was shot at Monroeville Mall, which Kevin Smith was actually at the Monroeville Mall not long ago. He posted a video of him walking through the mall, reminiscing about shooting there. So, I mean, I think they did, what was that TV series? Mindhunter, I think was they used the mall. So yeah, I mean, that mall's been used in quite a few things. So, like, filmmaking and film history is a part of that mall as well. So I mean, it makes sense, and Dawn was kind of the start of that. Like that kind of began because Pittsburgh became a huge film industry later on, and George, I say it all the time, George was the start of that. George and the Latent Image crew and those guys, Russ and those guys started that, and so they owe Romero that. The whole city of Pittsburgh does. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, sir. What's up, Justin? Creepy white van in the Guinness. Yes, sir. Here I am. It's funny you say that because I am on call this weekend. So I got the Guinness and I got the creepy white van down in the driveway. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go whenever. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Since this from California to Living Dead weekend, I usually get car, air, hotel for $1,200 or so. That's not bad. That's not bad, especially with car rental and plane. Like that's not bad at all. Flights are just so expensive for me to get out of here because it's cheaper if I were to drive to like Louisville or Nashville or something and fly out of there. But to fly out of Evansville, it's such a small regional airport. It's way more expensive than like an international airport would be for whatever reason. So I always just drive, rent a car and drive. And I love the drive anyway. It's part of the routine now when I go to Pittsburgh. It's like I said the other day, when I hit Columbus, I start to get excited because I know I'm close to Pittsburgh. Like I know, all right, I'm almost there. John said, I can't even remember where I'm staying, but it was $50 a night. Yeah, I just went with the Red Roof. It's close. I've stayed there a couple times before. It's cheap. It's clean enough. Clean enough for me. Like Will would have no part of that. But yeah, it's clean enough for me. So I'm like, all right, I can do the Red Roof. What the hell? Yeah, you mentioned that you have the complete Fangoria collection. You used to live in there. Yeah, it's interesting to me because I haven't seen a lot of that stuff. But going back and watching the Revival House when they're doing the Fango Fridays and going back page by page, like last night they had an article with Caroline Monroe, which might own, like, Jesus Christ, whew, what a lady. But yeah, they had some Star Trek stuff in there. Like it's just really I love the letters to the editor or whatever it used to be in there. Like you'd get like a blurb from like Don Coscarelli saying, hey, thanks for covering Phantasm in your last issue. And then you'd get somebody below that saying, hey, your magazine sucks and here's why. And then they'd respond. Like it was interesting back in the day. I don't know about Fangoria now. I don't know much about it now. It's not on my radar these days, but yeah, it's pretty cool to go back and look at some of those old magazines. Yeah, just Catherine Scorsese. She was great. Love her. Maybe my favorite scene in Goodfellas is her scene. And when she's like, hey, if I show you my paintings. It's like, hey, you got one dog looking this way, one dog looking that way, and this guy saying, hey, what do you want from me? Oh, I love that scene. Todd says, I used to have an extensive Fangoria collection, sold them to the publisher after a warehouse fire destroyed all the back issues. They gave me a fair price. Oh, wow. That sucks. I didn't know that. I didn't know the whole back issues were destroyed in a warehouse fire. But hey, at least you had them all to... at least you got some money for them. It's pretty cool. It says it was back in the 50s when the Ventura Highway... Oh, okay, for Wizard of Oz. Yeah, back in the 50s, covered a ranch where several movie animals were buried. Interesting. Love the Wizard of Oz, man. That's one I grew up with, for sure. Used to watch it all the damn time. Just says, always keep your head on a swivel at Wally World. Yeah, for real. Anywhere. Especially at night. You see some weird shit at Walmart at night after like 10, 11 o'clock at night. That's when, yeah. I don't know if they do that anymore though, because I think Walmart's closed now. Back in the day, they used to be 24/7. Like the first time I remember going into a Walmart Supercenter, it was like a 24/7, and you could go at any time at night. You go 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I used to do that when I was a night owl, and I'd stay up all night, sleep all day. You know, I'd go do my grocery shopping and shit at night when nobody else was there, and it was wonderful. But you would see some. It was a fucking freak show sometimes in that fucking place. You'd see some shit for sure. Matt says I had a dream that I got robbed at the mall after I drove all the way up there overnight. Still wondering how to interpret that. Yeah, again, yeah, we were talking about because I had a dream about the mall the other night too. It was very weird, but it was almost I don't know. I just it was the day I remember I worked, and then I knew that this was the last day that the mall was going to be open. So after I got off work in my dream, after I got off work, I drove all the way to Pittsburgh and got there just in time to do one last walk around the mall. And I remember in my dream thinking to myself like, oh, I really just want to do some reenactments from the movie. Like I just want to, do the Peter roll and do all this stuff. I want to do that, but I've never done that to this point because I don't want to be, I don't want to be the weird guy doing shit while people are trying to shop type of thing. But I remember in my dream, in my head, I was thinking like, oh, fuck it. Why not? Like, this is my last opportunity to ever do this. And I remember doing that shit in my dream. But I remember, like, I was there for, like, an hour. And then the realization hit me. I was like, I got to turn around and drive back home because I got to work in the morning. So then I remember, it was a sad dream, man. It was a sad dream. But yeah, I had that dream the other night. It's crazy. If that, I would be surprised if that actually happens. That's actually what's going to happen. I'm going to get off work, drive up there, just to say bye, and then turn around and come back home because I got to work the next day. Blake says, amazing how they spent multi-million dollars on Monroeville remodel just to get rid of it. Yeah, they did do some remodeling, and I will say, like, I have been talking to the girl who did my tattoo. She did say that the new owners have come in and actually have put a little money back into the mall and kind of cleaned some shit up and done some work to it and kind of cleaned it up. Because I did, if you go back and watch some of my Living Dead Weekend review shows from previous, I remember commenting on, the mall was in pretty rough shape because it just looked like nobody gave a shit anymore. It's like nobody, there's no landscaping or anything had been done in forever. It just looked like, they stopped caring. But I did notice that being there in June, it did look like they had cleaned some stuff up and kind of got it, a little bit back into shape, which I thought may have been like, oh, maybe that's a good sign, but, obviously not. Yeah, right, Sent. Just visit People of Walmart sites. Crazy. Yeah, I forgot all about that. Fucking People of Walmart. That was popular back in the day. People of Walmart. Which that's just like mostly like, again, part of the freak show that you see if you go into a Walmart late at night. But hell, some places you can go middle of the day and you see some shit, so. Rob, what's going on, man? Rob Lucas. Good to see you, my man. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, she was funny. His dad was good. His dad was good too. Yeah, his dad was in. He used his dad. I can't remember what movie it was, but yeah, I remember he used his mom and his dad and some shit. I just remember the mom just from that scene in Goodfellas. I love that fucking scene. Matt says Nicotero worked on Phantasm 2. There's your Romero. There you go. Let's do it. All right. Let's do it. Nicotero month. We'll do Nicotero month, and we'll do Phantasm 2. There you go. I knew you could tie that in somehow, Matt. I knew you could. Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Because I think it'll be the first time that you've done a stream with those guys. I believe so. It'll be a fun one. It's the first time I'm gonna have. I've been on the Midweek Obliteration show on the Dead Pit channel with CK a couple of times, and I had Uncle Bill on a couple of times for a roundtable, and it was about a year ago, I think, had him on. So it'll be the first time I had both of them on at the same time. Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Steven says, Alpha, you're an interesting cat. Thank you. The other sister. I thought it was weird for digging. I ought to be in pictures. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I grew up watching The Other Sister. It's one that, and again, it was just one of those movies that was on all the time. Like, it was always on HBO or something like that, and it was one me and my sister would watch. Just because, and I say this with as much respect as I can, but it was the role that Juliette Lewis was meant to play, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I like the other sister. It's a good one. Villa said, I'm probably going to miss that Sunday chat. I'm planning on leaving like 5 a.m. Monday. Okay, man. Well, hey, safe trip, man. I know you're getting down there early. You got a lot planned, and I'm excited for you because I know of course, you've been quite a few times, but this is going to be your first time kind of with, nothing to do, basically. You're usually working with some of the celebrities, working with Jim and stuff. So I'm really excited that you get to go and just kind of explore and enjoy it as a fan and not be having to run around all the time. So yeah, man, very, very cool. Safe trip. What kind of a drive is that for you from where you're at? So I know you're like next door neighbors with Grande, and I know he's flying. So I'm just curious about what kind of drive that would actually be. I'm glad you liked my my commercial break there. I had it planned because I know she's gonna come up every time. I'm like, oh, I feel bad because I gotta walk away and just leave you guys staring at a chair or something. So I was like, I'll put some commercials together. And I'm such a sucker for old commercials, especially with stuff from the Pittsburgh area or back in the late '70s. And that's the beautiful thing about Dawn of the Dead and that Monroeville Mall is that all that stuff in there, it's an actual place. They use actual stuff that you could buy. It's like none of it was like, oh, the art department's making up these beers. It's like, no, just grab some Iron Cities and put it on. It's on camera, whatever. So a lot of the stuff in Dawn of the Dead is actual real stuff that you can find old commercials for. A lot of the stores and stuff there's a Brown Derby commercial on YouTube, and it's yeah, I'm a sucker for those old commercials. I sat here when I was putting that together. I sat here the other night just watching one after another. I watched so many like Chili Billy clips and stuff the other night too. Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I can get creative sometimes. Since my brother's girlfriend in high school had a VW Scirocco in 1985, we used to zip around in it going to school. That's like Paul's dream car. I'd love to see one of those in person. I've never, I don't know if I've ever seen one, like at a '78 VW Scirocco. Yeah, that was Lori Cardille, a very young Lori Cardille. Like I think it was mid '70s. I think 74, 75. I think is when she was doing those. Yeah, we could do that, Jeff. We all rent hazmat suits. Maybe they'll give us a deal. Maybe. Maybe. Unless somebody has the salvage rights, quote unquote, already. Inside joke. Anybody knows about that. I've never been a big Blade Runner guy. I've tried watching that a few times. I never really got into Blade Runner, honestly. Not really my thing. Grande says, yeah, absolutely down to see the Dark Side Bridge. That'd be surreal. Yeah, man, let's do it. That's one location I haven't been to. And totally down to do that, man. Maybe like that Saturday. We'll get up that Saturday morning before the show or something like that. And we'll take a trip. I think it's like an hour from Monroeville or something like that, I think. So it's a little bit of a trip, but that's one of my favorite parts about being in Western Pennsylvania is just driving around, seeing the area and seeing all these. You see the scroll down here at the bottom. You see like Cannonsburg, PA, Clairton, PA, Connellsville. It's funny and it's weird when you're there and you're actually seeing signs for these places and you're like, oh, I've heard of that place, East Brady. I've been there. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Okay, Larry's saying it's still a TV station. Okay. But yeah, I remember it was gutted and they changed because I don't think there's an actual studio in there anymore because I think most of what they do is just kind of digital anyway. I may be wrong about that, but I have heard that it's changed quite a bit and a lot of that old stuff's gone. See, since I've never even been outside of the TV station, so if I could just do that, I'd be fine. Or at least, content just to say I've been there. Huh, that's interesting. That Vampires was the first movie you ever snuck into? I remember I've snuck into a couple of movies before. Especially when I was younger, you do that thing where you'd buy a ticket to a PG movie and sneak into the R-rated movie because you weren't old enough to buy a ticket by yourself. Unless you went to there were certain theaters that would sell you a ticket. They didn't give a fuck. They were just like, all right, what are you gonna say? All right, here you go. Some theaters were a little more strict than others. I'm trying to think what. We saw so much because there was a. a theater in the mall that we used to hang out in Madisonville all the time. We used to go see. I remember, I want to say we snuck into like History of Violence or something like that when it came out, because that was what, 2007. No, I'd have been old enough to see that. I'd have been 18 at that point. I don't know. I can't remember. I'll have to rack my brain on that. Liquid Cooler says From Dusk Till Dawn and American Werewolf in Paris was my introduction into those genres. Oh, that's From Dusk Till Dawn. That's a great one. American Werewolf in Paris. I don't know. Not so much. Not so much. That's cool. Granda says it was sent. Burnt Offerings is the best haunted house movie. Did I miss something about Burnt Offerings? Oh, okay. I think Dunsmuir was also used in Dunsmuir. It's hard. It's a weird word. So I was using Burnt Offerings. I've never seen Burnt Offerings. I've heard good things. Yeah, me too, Liquid. I'm a sucker for a good vampire story. Martin is definitely one of my all-time favorite movies, but I love the original Nosferatu. I love the aura of a vampire story if it's done right. And really, that was like the first monster I remember when I was a kid that really scared the shit out of me. Were vampire movies. I remember seeing Fright Night when I was real young, and the scene where he's looking through the window, and Chris Sarandon, and he's got the girl, and then all of a sudden he transforms into the vampire, and that for some reason just really freaked me the hell out when I was a kid. That always stuck with me. So yeah, I've always been a sucker for it. I think it's the whole idea of like you never know who's a vampire and who's not. That scared me when I was a kid. You never knew when the fangs were going to come out and all that. Holy shit, Liquid. The entire Legacy of Kain series is now on PS4, PS5, Amazing Vampire series. I remember playing the hell out of that when I was younger. When I first got a PlayStation, that was one of the first games I ever got. And I used to play the hell out of that game. I loved that game. It's been forever since I played it, but that's a blast from the past. I haven't thought about that in forever. Legacy of Kain. Wow. Okay, so Larry's saying this grant application thing's misunderstood. Cities and states offer grants of funds to help revitalize areas or towns, etc. This is a standard practice, so applying for the funds is standard and smart. Okay. Yeah, I figured that was kind of the case, but again, there's still people out there, like I've seen, locals saying like, there's no, I don't want this, our taxpayer money to be going to Walmart so they got plenty of money. They don't need our fucking money. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, well, it's available, so why not? Why not apply for it? Which 7.5 million, and that's chump change to Walmart. They could totally, even if they didn't get it, it wouldn't stop them. So. Matt says the grants are available to use, and if they qualify for them, they will absolutely use them, regardless of how rich the company is. It's a smart business move. Yeah. Pretty much. All right. Let me roll through here, and then I'll actually we'll go through and we'll look at the timeline that they've proposed on this whole demolition of the mall and everything, because we talked about it. I'll put a pin in the comments. I'll get back to you in just a second, but I do want to get into this. I have it pulled up. Let me get the images pulled up here. Like I said, Larry posted these in the Living Dead Weekend group on Facebook here recently, and let me see if I can pull them up here for everybody to look at. But they pretty much kind of laid out the proposal and the timeline for what their plans are for the mall and the demolition and everything. When the mall, they hope to get everybody out of the mall and to start the process of the demolition and everything. Let me see. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me see if I can pull this up here for everybody to look at. Let me move, all right, I'm in a little box. Help me, I'm in a little box over here. Alright, let me see if this works. Everybody see that? It's kind of small, kind of hard to read. I don't know if I'll be able to see that. A little better. Let me see if I can expand that a little bit. But yeah, that's basically, and it lays out kind of everything that they are planning to do, hope to do with the mall. Pull it up on my phone so I can kind of read through it accurately, because that's kind of hard to see. But yeah, it's out there. One of the news organizations in Pittsburgh just released some of this stuff. Okay. So the name of this, they're calling it the Monroeville Mall Economic Revitalization Project. If that's a good word for it. I don't know, but so yeah, I guess this is basically the application that they had to submit to try to get that $7.5 million to start the demolition of the mall. But the project narrative: how does this project provide a benefit or improvement to a community? The Monroeville Mall Economic Revitalization Project will transform an underutilized regional landmark into a modern mixed-use destination that strengthens the community and local economy. So from that, do you guys think that something like this would help strengthen or revitalize the Monroeville community? Because I mean, that's the thing. It's like Walmart moves in and small businesses. That's kind of the, you know, the common thing. It's like the small businesses will suffer. And I've heard there's been quite a few business owners, people that own the shops in the mall, that have spoken out and are really worried about what their future holds. A lot of them have already started to pack. A lot of the storefronts are starting to empty because they've already tripled the rent, from what I've heard, for the people there already. And they've offered buyouts, I believe. The Japanese restaurant that's in the mall right now, I think the owner of that said that they offered him $300,000 to buy out the rest of his contract, and he's asking for way more, because it's going to cost way more to move his business and start from the ground up, start from scratch. So yeah, they're trying to get people out of there as quickly as possible to get this underway. But pretty much every contract, I think, is good all the way through April 2027. That's, if you look down there at the bottom, project schedule and key milestones and dates: April 1st, 2027, start of demolition and site preparation. So they're starting April Fool's Day. Wouldn't that be great if they were just like, hey, April Fools? Like, no, we're not doing that. So yeah, basically their idea, what they're proposing is they're going to build a Walmart on this property. They're going to, it's not just going to be a Walmart, it'll be a Walmart plus, other restaurants, shops, stuff like that. Would it be a benefit to the community if they had a new place like that? I mean, I guess, but I mean, isn't that what the Monroeville Mall is already? I mean, you could basically just build a Walmart and keep the mall and, have a Walmart in the mall and just put the money in revitalizing the mall. But I mean, again, indoor malls, not the thing now. So, I mean, I guess it could be a good thing for the Monroeville community, but I don't know. It's hard for me to look at it unbiased. It's hard for me to look, because it's one of those things. It's like, I'm never going to have a fucking reason to ever go back to Monroeville now. Like, I'm just not. Like, it's been such a key part of my life over the last, 5 years or so, that it's like, that's the place. Like, that's where I go. And I'm not going to have that anymore. And I'm sure I'll always go back to Pittsburgh. There'll always be a reason to go back to Pittsburgh. I know Kevin Kreis has talked about, Living Dead Weekend will continue, whether it's in the mall or not. Like, there will be a Living Dead Weekend going forward, wherever. So I'll always be there for that. But in terms of Monroeville, I've become so accustomed to the town of Monroeville. I've been, the local spots there. I know my way around. I know where to go to get, I know the Sheets or, the package store there. I know that's where you go to get your Iron City. I know that area now. And it's just well, am I really going to have a reason to ever go back? Because I don't want to go there. When it does eventually happen, I don't want to go and see what's there now. It would just be too odd. It would be too weird for me, to see the new development. and just think like, oh, this is where the mall used to be, and now it's not anymore. But yeah, project schedule and key milestones and dates. April 1st, 2027, start of demolition and site preparation. April through November of 2027, demolition of 1.1 million square feet of existing mall structures, utility, and stormwater system upgrades, 6 to 8 months. December 2027 through December 2028, year-long plan here. Vertical construction of approximately 780,000 square feet of new retail, restaurant, and entertainment space, 12 months. And then the rest of the plans were on the second page here. Early 2029, interior build-out, landscaping, and development of public open spaces. And then mid-2029, that's when they're aiming for project completion and grand reopening. So it's going to be a long process to get it to where they are planning on taking it. So it looks like it'd be about a 2-year project here that they're proposing. But the key date here is April 1st, 2027. That's when it's over. That's when the mall is closing and demolition begins. And I still remember when this news first started coming out, and everybody was thinking like maybe they keep a piece of the mall, maybe they keep a part of the mall, which I don't know how you would do that or how much sense that would make economically. The district area of the mall that they just added, some years back, that could be kept. But again, there's no connection to the movie, so it's like, yeah. Because that's where they had the tattoo place, and they had the Red Robin there, and Barnes and Noble. I would just, the only thing I would like, the biker entrance. I was like, oh, just keep the biker entrance, if nothing else. Come on. But yeah, I don't know. Like I get it. Like we've always kind of known like the mall's not always going to be there. The mall it's an old mall. Like I said, it was built in '69. It was born in '69 and as a cathedral of capitalism. Built in '69. It's one of the oldest malls in the United States. The lifespan of it is not gonna be around forever. But my hope was always like, oh, one day it'll close and it'll just be an abandoned mall and it would just sit there, which does nothing for the community. I get that. Like, this is probably a better option long term for the city of Monroeville and the citizens of Monroeville. And I like I said, I've never had an issue with anybody in Monroeville. Like, most of the people I've ever met in Monroeville, very, very nice people, very, very good people. So I do want the best for them in that aspect, but at the same time, it's like I was always just kind of hoping like, oh, at least it'll be there as just like an abandoned mall that I could just go to, and it'll just be like, okay, it's still here, it's still here. But again, it kind of feels like, like I said earlier, it's like your favorite character in your favorite movie it's like the death warrant has been signed. Its execution date will be April 1st, 2027. So it's weird. And like I said, we've been talking about this for months now, years, going back to the, the DoubleTree closing and, people fighting to keep the convention center open next to, the Monroeville Convention Center next to the DoubleTree, next to the mall, which that actually won. They actually did end up keeping the convention center and not allowing Hobby Lobby to take over that building. But, now it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine what that area is going to look like now without the mall. So, but what do you guys think? How are you guys feeling about this? Because like I said, I'm kind of at a loss for words. It's hard for me to really comprehend or convince myself that this is actually happening. But it is what it is, and we at least we have a date now, because it's all kind of been up in the air. Like, we don't know, what's happening with it. Is it gonna? And I watched a news story earlier where they were talking to people that worked in the mall and people that own different stores in the mall, and they've been told nothing for the longest period of time. They had no idea what the future held or how long they were going to be there or what was happening. And they said we found out like everybody else, like we saw it on the news, like we saw on the news that April 2027 was kind of the date, and so yeah, it kind of sucks for them too. I feel for the people that actually have storefronts and stuff in the mall, because I mean everything's changing for them. And it was kind of like it was one of those moments when Naturalizer, the store Naturalizer, the shoe store, which was the last remaining store in the mall that was still the same store that was there when they shot Dawn of the Dead. It was still in the exact same spot all those years later. Just recently closed about a year ago. They closed their doors, and that was kind of like a sign that was like maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe there's the writings on the wall and they kind of see it. The rats are jumping off the ship, as they say, or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. But we all knew it was going to happen, and now it's happening, and we know when it's going to happen. So now we know this is the period of time that we have to get there, enjoy it, take pictures, film, do what we can while we can to document it while it's still here before it's gone. Like I said, it's just one of those things where it's always been here. It's always been a part of my life. It's even when I hadn't gone, it was still like, oh, it's there. The shiny castle on the hill. It's there. I'll get there one day. I'll get there one day. But I don't know, man. It's really sad. It sucks, but that's America. That's capitalism, To the winner goes the spoils, as they say. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about all this? Let me know, have you guys been to the mall yet? Or do you plan on making the trip now that like, okay, I have until April of 2027 to get there? Now, how much will be left if you were to go in, January of 2027? Probably, I would guess most of those stores will be empty at this point. It'll be as dead and empty of a mall as a lot of malls in the U.S. now. But yeah, let me. What do you guys think? Yeah, and that's a good point, John. Those memories will no longer be physical, just media only. Yeah. I mean, it's a good way to put it. And like I said, I've said this before. It's like we can always go back and visit the mall. I mean, the mall that we know from the movie is no longer the mall that's there now. Like, it's changed so much over the years already. The J.C. Penney's is gone. Like, the bridge is gone. A lot of the vegetation, all that's gone. There's no clock tower. There's no fountains. I will say, if you go to Living Dead Weekend, I stress it all the time, and I can't say it enough, take Larry's tour, because Larry will take you back in time and show you through, his knowledge and hey, line this up here. This is where this was shot. It's like, okay, this is the mall. And all of a sudden it all kind of comes together, because it is a little overwhelming when you first walk in. It's like everything has changed so much that it's just like, wow, like the bones are here. Like, you can definitely tell that this is the mall, but man, so much has changed. And so much of it has changed over the years. So the mall that we know and love from the movie is not the mall that's there now, but it is. Like, that's the mall. That's it. And like I said, it's weird. Like, I can't really pinpoint anything similar to it, from any other movie that has a location or something that is so beloved by its fan base that it's just heartbreaking when it's gone. I know Halloween, the house and stuff is still there, and or it's still standing. It's not in the same spot that it was, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's just what makes it so weird. I don't know if this just feels kind of unprecedented for me, but yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Since says, will they still have the tattoo parlor? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. I know that they've mentioned that whatever they do, the redevelopment of the area or whatever, they still want to offer, the store owners and stuff that are already there. They want to offer them an opportunity to be a part of the new redevelopment. But again, we just saw it's going to be a 2-year process, and a lot of these, you can't close your business for 2 years and then open back up. It's like nobody has that kind of money or ability to do that, especially something like a tattoo parlor, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know how many of the businesses that are there now are going to continue to be there once all this takes place, but they have said they are willing to work with a lot of the store owners and stuff to kind of help them, either transition away from it or have a spot in the future. But again, it's like, come on. And who knows with everything, new redevelopment and new stuff everywhere. It's like, who knows what kind of rent and stuff they're going to want to charge for it. I guarantee you it'll be a lot more than what they're paying now to be at the mall. And I don't know how many of those stores can afford that. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, 57 years in use, completed in 69. 57 years. It had an amazing run. I'll say that. It had an amazing run. And would have loved to have, love for it to have been around longer. I just would, again, I would have loved to have seen like I wouldn't even be against if they had done just some major reconstruction of the mall and updated it and added some new things, some new attractions and stuff to it, and really upgraded it and updated it even more. Like, even then, it would still be like, all right, they got rid of some more stuff from the movie, maybe, and maybe, but it's still there. It's still the mall, Steven says, I hope they're at least decent enough to either let Romero bus stay or put up some kind of plaque to acknowledge the memories of Romero and the history of the mall. I was thinking about that too. I doubt it. Honestly, I highly doubt that they would do that. I don't think they care enough. A major, a big company like that, I just couldn't see them really taking the time or energy to really give a shit. Now, maybe they will, and that would be cool. That would be cool. But again, it's still just kind of like, it's kind of like, it's not the same. It's just not the same. The bust will have a home, though. The bust will have a home somewhere. Because I guarantee you, I know Kevin Christ, guy who runs Living Dead Weekend, owns Living Dead Museum. I'm pretty sure that museum's going to move somewhere else. Where, I don't know. My dream would be like if somehow, he could buy 247 Fort Pitt Boulevard and just turn that into a Romero museum, That would be perfect, But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for that. But I do think that the bust ain't going. They're not getting the bust. Either, Chris Stavrakis is either going to get that back or what. But since it's not that they care, but they could save the just the facade of the biker entrance with the sign, encase it in glass like a museum exhibit, and build around it. That would be cool. That would be something, that'd be something at least. But they don't care. They don't care. That's just going to be something that's like, oh, that's old. That looks old. Get rid of that. Can't wait to that's going first. We're bulldozing that shit first. It sucks. It just sucks. John says better things to come, but it'll cost an icon of cinema. Yeah. I guess if you're looking at it from the point of view of like just your typical Monrover, I guess would be the term for it. It may be exciting for them to be like, oh, it's something new, we're getting new things. So yeah, I try to look at it on the positive side that way too, just being like, okay, this community is going to get something new there, and hopefully it's something worth it, Blake says, almost synchronicity built a year after Night of the Living Dead was released. It had a purpose. Yeah, it's funny. It's like they knew it. George needed them all, and they knew. Wow, Synth, wow. We're gonna be, you're gonna need some redevelopment here soon, man. 57 years of Synth. John says, rolling down that hill won't be the same. Yeah. Hell, that hill may not be there anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't just level all that out and just, start fresh. Ed says, wonder if George being dead makes it harder or easier to take that the mall is closing. That's a good question. I've thought about that. But when I think about that, when I think like, oh, what would George say? Like, how would George feel about this? I truly feel like he would just say, what can you do? Because I think it was Matt, I think it was Landrum who asked Savini, Yeah, Savini, like, how do you feel about the mall, being purchased and possibly demolished? And Savini's like, I don't give a shit. It's like, it seems cold to fans like us, but to them, it's just like, yeah, that's where we made a movie, and it's lived a long life, but it's time to go. It doesn't mean the movie's being taken away. It's not like we're never going to be able to watch the movie again. It's not like we can never go back and visit that mall anytime we want, because we can. Just pop in Dawn of the Dead. We're there. We're in J.C. Penney's. We're running down those hallways. We're on the stairway. But yeah, I would just think George would just say, "Hey, what can you do?" He'd probably laugh and just say, "Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds about right." I don't think he'd be shocked. I don't know if it'd make it easier or harder, but I think it might almost make it easier to hear George say it, like, hey, what can you do? Hey, say la vie. Larry says, I've spent so much time at that mall. Yeah, and that mall's like a second home for Larry. Like, Larry has seen that mall inside and out. I've spent so much time at that mall, it's going to break my heart when the demo begins. Until then, it's not real. Yeah, that's kind of how I want to feel about it, too. Like, until then, like, just tune that out. Just pretend, live in the now. That's the best we can do. Live in the now, live in the moment, and enjoy it while we can. And get there and visit it and see it and document it and get as much out of it as you can while it's still there. But yeah, I know it's gonna be rough for all of us, man. But I know you especially, because you're the tour guide. You're the Monroeville Mall tour guide, man. So you know that mall better than anybody probably. Right. Yep. Since Scarface summed it up. You know what capitalism is? Get fucked. Exactly. And that's it. Michelle says, I'm with you, Larry. I'm still in denial. The mall is my favorite place on earth. Yeah, I've heard that from quite a few people. Just talking about it here recently, where they're just like, I'm not even thinking about it. I don't want to think about it. It's just out of my head. Just ignore it. And like I said, I'm kind of in that spot too, where it's just a little bit of denial of just being like, it's not happening. It's not happening. All I'm focused on is, a couple of weeks I'm going to be there, Living Dead weekend, having some Iron Cities with some friends and visiting that old pile of bricks at least one more time, at least. Hopefully not the last time, but you just never know. You never know. That's why I say get there now. Get there as soon as you can. If it's something you've always wanted to do, if you're like me and for years you were like, if just someday I could just make it there, just to see it, just to say I've been there. Do it now, because like I said, you never know. You just, as Peter says, you never know. Grande says, forever thankful I got to go once. Living Dead weekend in October will most likely be my last too. But yeah, like someone who always felt it was the greatest movie ever made, it meant the world to me. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, something about that mall, like, even when I was younger and first time I saw that movie, it was just like, that was a place I'd been before. I don't know, it was like in a previous life or something. I'd been there. The airport too, like, just something about everything. I think it's the beauty about a movie shot on location, is like all those spots are real places. And it's also the sad thing about movies that are shot on location, is that all those places that the movie was shot were real places. And like any real place, they don't last forever. Nothing lasts forever. So I always felt like a connection to that mall. Even first time I saw it, it just seemed like a place I'd been before. So, Rick says, will any other of the remaining stars cast of Dawn of the Dead be there? October, I don't know. They're still announcing some guests here and there. They just announced Sharon Hill will be there. Of course, Nurse Zombie. Jim Crud will be there. I got the list pulled up here. And we'll go through the entire guest list and everything next week on next week's show with Larry and the Dead Pit Boys. But they just recently announced Tina Romero will be there. That's pretty good. I'm actually pretty interested. I'd love to talk to her if I get a chance to. Just ask her a few questions. Just not about anything particular. Like, honestly, just a little silly shit. Like, I've always wondered, like, what was George's favorite band or something like that? Because, like, she would know. Like, that was her dad. I haven't seen Queens of the Dead yet, but I'm more than willing to give it a shot, a fair shake, and we'll go from there. But yeah, Tina will be there. Of course, they got the Return of the Living Dead reunion there. In terms of Dawn guests, so they just announced John Amplis will be there, Ken Foray, of course. Lenny Lees will be there, Machete Zombie, Joe Shelby will be there, Bob Michelucci, Melissa Dunlap and Michael Savini, of course, the kids at the airport. Christian Dryden will be there, Gary Marlatt, and they may, you never know, they may announce a couple, because a lot of the people that were in Dawn of the Dead, a lot of the guests from Dawn of the Dead, are still local, like they still live in that area, so you never know who may show up. But like I said, I feel like if there is another Living Dead weekend next year, I think that'll be the big Dawn send-off, where they get everybody, everybody they can. So we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed, like we said. Yeah. John says the pipework office was unchanged in a 2021 tour. Yeah, all that's still the same. Like the boiler room, the engine room, where Steven is chased around by the security guard zombie. Like all that looks the same, and it sounds the same. Like that's the thing that blew me away when I first took Larry's tour. Going into that room, like you hear it in the distance. You hear that, the sound of the engines going, and it sounds just like it did in the movie, like it's natural sound. And I remember Landrum was on that tour too. That was where me and Matt met. And I remember he was in front of me, I was behind him. We both hear that sound. He just turns around to me with this look on his face, just like, dude, that's it. I was like, dude, I know. Yeah, all that's the same. The stairwell that leads up to the hideout still there. That's pretty much unchanged. I mean, they moved the door, so that's different at the top. But in terms of like the paint and everything, like that's all exactly the same, pretty much. But yeah, there's still a few spots in there that are unchanged in the mall. But yeah, a lot of it has been, of course, remodeled and updated over the years. But that's why I say take Larry's tour, man. Take Larry's tour, because it'll take you back. It'll take you back to '77 when they were shooting that movie. Damn it. Blake says, I was lucky to go in early 2001 before the world changed. Only changes I noticed then was no clock tower, and the ice rink was a food court. Yeah, ice rink was 84, I think, when they took the ice rink out and changed it to the food court. Which I've been on a big Ice Palace kick here lately for some reason. I just added, if you guys are interested, just added a new t-shirt design over at the shop.alpharomero.store, the Ice Palace logo t-shirt. But I've been on a big kick. I've been looking at a lot of the old, ads, and I found a video on YouTube the other day that I think WTAE Pittsburgh had some like old footage from people skating around the rink that they posted. It's like a minute of footage of just people skating around from years ago. It's really interesting to look at. But yeah, I've been on a big Ice Palace kick here lately, which I got my Ice Palace skates back there, which is one of my favorite things. But yeah, I would love to have made it, because 2001. I mean, they still had a lot of that original stuff in there. A lot of the bridge and the footbridge and J.C. Penney's was still. I never made it to J.C. Penney's to see the elevator or any of that stuff. The escalator, I missed out on all that, unfortunately. But Granny says, yes, Larry's tour was surreal. I remember when it all ended, I went out of my way to shake his hand and thank him for literally guiding us through it all. Yeah, and it's a 3-hour tour. And you think 3 hours, like, geez, like, what is there all to see in 3 hours? But Larry, like, it's so immersive that it's like I told him, because I took the tour back in June. It was the third time I'd taken that tour, and I told him, I was like, dude, like, I'm grateful that I took that, because again, it was like, okay, this may be the last time I get to take the tour and see the mall and all that. But it also gives you a chance to just kind of stop and take it in. Because when you're there and you're walking around, especially Living Dead weekend, you're going to all the, all the booths and celebrities and stuff like that. It's hard to just take a second to kind of take it in and remind yourself, like, holy shit, I'm in the mall. Like, this is the mall. But when you're on Larry's tour, it's like you have a chance to stop and you hear him talk about it and show you, like, oh, this is where Peter was, and this is, you can line up the columns here, and it gives you a chance to kind of stop and take it in and remind yourself, like, oh wow, yeah, this is it. So yeah, if you guys make it, if you guys are coming in October and you don't have a ticket for Larry's tour, get a fucking ticket to that tour. Or if there's another one next year, I can't recommend it enough. Absolutely. Synth says, remember, or no, Steven says, Synth, remember if it wasn't for capitalism, you'd never have a mall to begin with. There's pros and cons to everything. That's true. That is true. And let's not forget what George was trying to say with the mall and about, consumerism and stuff like that. And it's not a place to be worshipped type of thing. And here we are just like, oh, our beloved mall, And George would probably look at that and be like, what are you guys talking about? It's a fucking mall. But yeah, again, it's not the mall, the aspect of like, oh, a place where we can buy all this stuff. It's like, no, this is the place where the greatest goddamn movie ever made was shot. Like, this is it. And George would still try to probably just look at you like, what? It's a mall. Larry says, I will always love and appreciate anyone that came on one of my tours of the mall. I had fun doing every single tour of the mall. Yeah. And yeah, that you can definitely tell Larry, it's a complete labor of love. Larry is, he reenacts certain shit from the mall. Like, it's awesome. Highly recommend it. Since I know it was a funny comment in the movie, his wife immediately comments on how much of a capitalist he is. There are some stuff on YouTube of Larry's tours. I think Synth did a whole video on when he took Larry's tour from last year. So check out Synth's channel, Synth Addict. I think it's still up there. Larry says, yes, I've had tours filmed by multiple people over the years, but nothing has been released or posted except for what fans have recorded and posted. Yeah, that's right. Synth, check out Synth Addict. John says, perhaps if a specific spot can be identified in a new store, maybe a bust of George or something akin to the movie may be cited. I mean, yeah, that's possible. I mean, they could always have a storefront there. Because like I said, it's going to be what they call a mixed use area. So there's going to be all kinds of different storefronts and stuff, not just the Walmart or whatever. You could have a possible Living Dead museum or something there, but again, it would just feel weird. It would feel almost too much like going to a cemetery to visit the grave site of, a loved one. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you're going and visiting this monument that commemorates this person and all that, and you're paying your respects. But at the same time, it's like that person's no longer here, and that you can't, doesn't change it. It's a weird feeling. I've never been a big fan of that, visiting loved ones. I like going to cemeteries and stuff, but I don't like going to cemeteries to visit loved ones because I don't know, it's a weird feeling for me. It's I don't know how to explain it, but that's kind of how it would feel if there was something like that. I don't know if I would even go to visit something like that, honestly. Stuka says, I'll never get to see it because of my school and work schedule. It's okay, though. I'll just enjoy it all vicariously through you dudes. Yeah, man. I mean, I would recommend however you can do it, getting there. But if not, yeah, you can always live through us. Live through us. And like I said, Synth's got all kinds of shit. You still need to post it, Synth, damn it. From June, he took so much footage and stuff from Living Dead weekend back in June. He still got to get it up on his channel. We've been nudging at him, saying, hey, come on, man, get it up. So hopefully he'll get that up here soon. But and John says, every day I feel a measure of utter disdain for aspects of so-called progress. This ranks as a high bar in depression. Yeah. But that, again, that's part of getting older, man. That's just part of, they call it progress, but, and again, it's like, what can you do? What can you do? There's not much you can do. Just roll with the punches and enjoy it while it's here. Live for today, I try to remind myself that. Steven says, this may be a silly question, but could someone make a virtual tour of the mall to have a permanent remembrance of it? Don't know if it's possible, but it would be sure cool to have. I thought about doing something like that. I wouldn't be the person for that because I'm terrible about like on location stuff. Like you guys know, like if you know my channel, like if I'm not sitting here in my chair in front of this camera, like I'm really bad about doing stuff. Like I like for a while there, I was doing some shorts from different locations and stuff like that. But it's just like little shorts to kind of commemorate, like, oh, this is where this was. But something like that, like that's a synth job, man. Synth would be the perfect one to do something like that. But yeah, I'm all for that. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, yeah. Synth's covered it a lot, man. Yes, sir. 11 days and counting. 11 Dead weekend. Are you coming, Jeff? Are you going to be there? Yeah, that's on YouTube as well. If you guys have seen that, repurposed Fiddler's Green video game engine would have been the best curated Dawn Mall immersion and time capsule of the 78 Mall, sadly abandoned. Yeah, there's video of I guess somebody was developing a game for Dawn of the Dead, and they kind of had the mall built out, and they kind of go through the mall and stuff like that. I'll go through and watch that sometimes, you know, every few months I'll come across it and I'll watch it all the way through. But yeah, they kind of go through that, but yeah, check that out if you can find it. It's like Dawn of the Dead virtual tour or something like that on YouTube. Type that in and see if you can find something like that. Yeah, Jeff's out. I'd like to meet Tina. Yeah, just to talk to her, just to meet her, and I'd love to talk to her about her mom too. I'm a huge fan of your mom, like type of thing. Just to learn more about Christine, you know. So I'm a huge Christine fan. And Jeff said the kids are really the only people I need on my Dawn poster. They'll be there. They'll be there. There's still quite a few people that, you know, that I would love to meet from Dawn, that I'd love to get, you know, a signature on my poster, like Jim Baffico or Nick Mastandria, Zilla Clinton, like names like that. But you know, like I said, they don't do too many conventions, and they're kind of hard to come by. Tommy Lafide is another one, of course. Miguel Zombie, which he shows up like at Living Dead Weekend. Sometimes he'll just show up for an hour or two just to walk around and say hi to everybody, and then leave. Like, and he just has no interest in sitting at a table and doing it for a whole weekend. But very often he will actually, because he's still a local Pittsburgh guy, still does acting in Pittsburgh. And you know, very often if you run into him and you ask him to sign something, I've heard stories where he'll happily sign whatever, but you just got to catch him while he's there for the hour or so that he's walking around saying hi to everybody. I've unfortunately haven't had that opportunity, but you never know. Chance, what's going on, brother? Chance 2D is in the house. The boiler room sounds was pure bliss. I could sleep in there. Yeah, it takes you right back to the fucking movie for sure. Jen says Larry does the best job with the tours. Yeah, he does. And he doesn't just do the Dawn Mall, too. He's done tours of, you know, Evans City Cemetery, Evans City, you know, Crazy's locations and stuff like that. Like locations, I've talked to Larry about this before. I need to get Larry on, just do a locations stream, just to talk about his history with, you know, why he, you know, was inspired to find these locations and how he goes about his research and stuff. Because I was lucky enough to tag along when he was doing his, because he did the location video for the Vinegar Syndrome release of the Dark Half that just came out here a few months back, and I was lucky enough to tag along with him while he was doing some of the stuff for that, and it was actually really interesting to watch how, you know, how he worked and how he tracked shit down, and he's like, okay, this is here, then that should be over there, and which I'm really bad about that stuff. Like, I'm really like locations and stuff. Like, I can find it, but like actually like taking the time to like match it. I'm taking my time there to kind of soak it all in. But yeah, Larry's the best at it. That's right, John. The Zombie Security Guard's a Pulitzer Prize winner. It's Walter Snook. It's not Walter Snook. It's Warner Shook. I don't know why it took me a minute to think of that, but Warner Shook. Walter Snook. I'm going to call him that if I ever see him. Hey, Walter Snook. Who, of course, was also in Creepshow, as well as Night Riders. But yeah, Pulitzer Prize winner, believe it or not. John says someone has those sliding doors from J.C. Penney's, the most famous security doors in cinema. Yeah, anybody know who has those? Because a lot of people have all kinds of parts from J.C. Penney's, like parts of the escalator and parts of the elevator, and I wonder whatever happened to those sliding doors. I'm sure somebody has them somewhere. Chet says, I wish I could have seen the escalator and rode the original elevator in Penny. Yeah, I missed out on that. I wish I would have got off my ass and made the trip sooner than I did before they took out the J.C. Penney's. I think everybody wants to do the escalator ride. You know, the Roger slide down the escalator. Hell, when we watch it, me and Everly, when that scene comes up, she sees that, I want to do that. I want to do that. It's like, me too. You know? It's like, Daddy wants to do that too. Since I like the old Sean Clark Mall video where the lady wants to deny them the J.C. Penney. Yeah, that was like from like, what, 93? I remember watching that. It was like a early video. Early 90s, somewhere around there. See a lot of great stuff in that one too. I agree. It's like I feel like that's it's like that scene in Kingpin where they walk into the Reno bowling alley, which I love Kingpin, which is another movie that was shot in Pittsburgh, in the Pittsburgh area, by the way. But I love when he walks into the massive bowling alley in Reno at the end, and Ishmael's all like, "Wow," and Woody Harrelson's like, "Ishmael, welcome to my church." That's how I feel when I walk into the Monroeville Mall with somebody. It's like, "Welcome to my church." Todd says, I'd love to slide down between the escalators like Roger, but I know you can't do that anymore. Yeah. Well, I think they put up little studs there in the middle too before they had actually torn it down. So people would stop doing that, because I guess people probably saw that in the movie, and then for years security had to keep fucking coming after people that kept sliding down these fucking escalators. But I think Larry got to do the escalator slide. I think there's video on his channel of him doing the escalator slide, I think multiple times, I think. Lucky bastard. John says, George would be horrified. Our consumerism is at the touch of a button now. Never mind wandering aimlessly around. That's true. We don't even have, that's kind of why malls have kind of disappeared. We don't have to wander around aimlessly like zombies now in a shopping mall. We can just stare at our phone like mindless zombies now. And I see it all the time. You go to any college campus and you see these college kids walking around campus. None of them have their head up. They're all phone in the hand, looking down as they're walking across the fucking street, and you're like, so we're it's funny, we are the Walking Dead now. We're just mindlessly just wandering back and forth, have no, idea what's going on around us. We're just head down, staring at this phone, and you can shop and buy and do everything you need to do just from that phone. And I know that's the big thing that people always talk about, is like, why is, in-store shopping and stuff kind of a disappearing thing? Is like, oh, it's so accessible now. You can go to Amazon, or you can just have it delivered straight to your door now, which is, of course, a big reason for it. But I think also another big reason that people don't talk about as enough is just the disappearing middle class. And I've talked about this before in the past. It's like, yeah, malls like, middle class malls like the Monroeville Mall, or like most of the malls that we grew up in when we were younger, are disappearing because people can't afford to fucking go to a mall on a Saturday and spend the money and, to shop at a store and to have the shopping experience. I think most people honestly would love to have the extra income to be able to, go with some friends to the mall on Saturday and go shopping and buy some shoes, buy a hat, because I see a ton of, upper class, the fancy malls. Those malls are fine. Like, I see those, and they don't seem to be having any issues. There's no empty storefronts. There's people all over those places. If you have the money to spend at Louis Vuitton or Gucci or wherever the fuck, like, those are fine. There's no issues with those. It's just, the middle class malls with the J.C. Penney's and the Sears that people can't afford to fucking shop at anymore. And It's funny enough, like Walmart is really the one place that people can still shop and actually afford to be able to buy things. And yeah, you're buying fucking cheap ass Walmart shit, but it's like, great value's better than nothing, I guess, So I think that's a big part of it too. It's like the shrinking middle class in this country is also hurting not just malls, but just any kind of, store that's not Walmart or, Meijer, places like that can afford to lower their prices that other places can't compete. So I think that's just a big part of it too. I think if you ask a person honestly, if they were to answer honestly, I think they would say like, yeah, I'd much rather shop for my back to school clothes at the mall than I would Walmart. You know what I mean? I don't know any kid that's like, oh, I got to go to Walmart and get those sweet new shoes or whatever. It's like that was always the joke when we were kids. Like Walmart, that's where you get the cookbooks. That's what we used to call them when we were kids. They were cookbooks. Yeah, I don't know. I grew up in the hood, so so we called them cookbooks, and we used to have the little jingle: cookbooks, $1.99. Cookbooks make your feet feel fine. You go to Walmart to get the cookbooks. You had to go to Foot Locker or wherever to get the good shit. People can't afford to fucking go to Foot Locker anymore. That's a goddamn problem. You gotta go get them Shacks at fucking Walmart. You can't afford the Jordans. Gotta go get the Shacks at Walmart or the LA Gears or the Nobos. The no boundaries. Isn't that the Walmart no boundaries? But shit, nobody can afford the fucking Jordans anymore. Gotta get them Shacks. Anyway, I don't know what that tangent was all about, but 2.5 hours in, guys. You know how it goes. After a while, it's going off the rails. Jeff says Adam the Woo also did a filming location from a few years back when he went to. Yep, I've seen that one as well. I think Blasey is featured in that one as well. Matt Blasey, you guys fans of WGON Radio or Garf Network right now? Yeah, I've been there, Blake. Shout out Landrum. Larry says, yep, I invited Adam and his sister to come to on the tour, totally free. Must respect to the Woo. What's he up to these days, Adam the Woo? I haven't seen much from him lately. Maybe he's just not in my algorithm or whatever, but I used to see his stuff all the time, but I feel like I haven't seen much from him lately. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's just the algorithm. I'm out of that now. Yeah, we were. The footage is on Matt's channel, Matt Landrum, Drone of the Dead. Matt got us up there on that rooftop, 247 Fort Pitt Boulevard back in June, and yeah, there's nothing on the edges there. You can literally just jump off if you wanted, but I don't know why you would. But if you knew if that was the way you wanted to go, I mean, you could definitely do it. Since I recorded some footage in a Chinese department store and commented on how Roger ruined it for everyone sliding down the center. Bumps on every escalator now. Yeah, I think that's kind of a standard thing now to kind of keep people from doing that. Todd says, always kind of wondered what they use the room with the civil defense supplies for now. Storage, maybe? That's actually was not part of the mall. That was actually a set. I think that was filmed it wasn't 247. I think it was the building next to it. I think, if I remember correctly, if anybody wants to correct me on that. I'm sure somebody has. I'm still behind on these comments, guys. You guys are blowing it up tonight. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Chintz says, talk to the sister kid zombie. Had no idea that they were boy and girl twins. She was on. Yeah, it's Tom Savini's niece and nephew. There you go. There's the game prototype footage there. That link, if you guys want to check that out, it's pretty cool. Larry says, we will do that total location stream in the future for sure. I'd love to talk. Yeah, man. I would love to. I'd love to find out all about it. Because I remember seeing your stuff years ago before I met you, knew you. Back when I was a kid, just on the internet looking for anything Dawn of the Dead or George Romero I could find. And coming across you used to have a blog. And I remember seeing you visiting the Martin locations and the bridge. There's the whole controversy about, was it the bridge, wasn't it the bridge, where is the bridge? I remember seeing that, and I remember that's where I think that's the first time I ever became aware of who you were. I remember that name, Lawrence DeVincent. I think that was the first time I remember seeing that. I don't know, I don't forget what year that was, but I remember that was had to be quite some time ago. But yeah, man, we'll do it for sure. Yeah, yeah. Larry is a mastermind explaining everything from the movie. Yeah. Like I said, he takes you back, puts you in the movie, puts you in the scene to where everything is lined up perfectly and it's like you're there, you know. And of course he has props, you know, prop-alikes is what they call it from the movie, like, you know, the keys to the kingdom and the walkie-talkies, which are the actual style that they used in the movie. It's fucking awesome. John says, I want the screwdriver from John Harrison's ear. Yeah, I wonder whatever happened to that screwdriver. I want to say I heard somebody has that. I can't remember who, though. Maybe if I were to take a wild guess, Savini probably has it somewhere, but not sure. Since says these days I can't even afford to buy stuff at the Monroeville Mall. Forget about the fancy malls where I live. Yeah, seriously. Like, we have a mall here in Evansville. It's actually not. It's not doing too bad. Like, it's not. You know, there are. I don't. Not that I can think of any real like empty storefronts or anything in it. Like, it's a pretty well maintained and operating mall, and it's stays busy with traffic and stuff, but it's like, you know, it's like a treat. Like, if I want to treat myself sometimes, like, I'll go in there and buy a hat, or I'll buy, you know, a shirt or something like that. But yeah, just the idea, like, I don't need, it's too expensive now to really, you know, for me at least. I don't know. It's like I said, it's still doing fine, so somebody's shopping there, but it's like the nicer mall. Like, there is a mall, one of the older malls, that I think the oldest mall ever built in Indiana is here in Evansville, the Washington Square Mall. Now, that mall is completely empty, abandoned, but you can still kind of walk around it. It's like the Dead Mall videos on YouTube. It's pretty cool, but it's completely empty. It's just like an open area for old people to go walk. I don't know, but Jeff says that was from the Zombie Jamboree, Sean's video. That oh yeah, that's right, 93. That started his Horror Hallowed Ground show. Yes, I'm planning on Saturday. It would be very cool to meet you and everyone in the chat. Hell yeah, man! If you see me, definitely come up, say hi. I'm definitely want to meet you, man. I'll be there Saturday. Like I said, I think me and Grande, or I think Saturday would probably be the best day to. We're going to take that trip out to the bridge from Tales from the Dark Side. But after that, I'll be there. And of course, Saturday night's the VIP party and the Dawn screening. So I'll be there. I'll be there for sure. It says what killed the mall here was they came up with the rule that minors had to be with an adult. The effect was nearly overnight. That's kind of what happened with Monroeville Mall, because the Monroeville Mall has that same policy. No minors. They have a curfew, I know for sure, but I think they also have the mall no minors without an adult as well, just because they've had so many issues with, you know, fights and shootings and shit over the last few years. So yeah, that definitely didn't help matters for sure. Steven says, I don't completely disagree with your point on the middle class alpha, but I'm going to give you a counterpoint. Okay. What stores would be in the mall today? Most of the stores we remember are all gone. Yeah. But I think that goes back to the whole idea is, like, most, you know, stores, you know, like Sears or Kmart, Toys R Us, the stores we grew up with couldn't compete with Walmart or Amazon or any of those, which is that's just how it goes. I mean, that's capitalism. That's fine. I'm not anti-capitalist at all, but I just think that plays a big role in it. A lot of the stores we grew up with are no longer there because they couldn't compete. And it's not even that they couldn't compete. Like, I know a store like Toys R Us, people think like, oh, Toys R Us, how could that go out of business? Like, that was a staple in retail and stuff. Like, growing up when I was a kid, like, Toys R Us was like Disneyland. How could that go out of business? And a lot of it's just bad credit. They made bad deals. They did too much shit. They ran up too much debt. to the point where they filed for bankruptcy. Same with Sears, same with a lot of these companies. It was just bad business decisions, and bad leadership that led to a lot of it as well. So I mean, I don't know. It's a whole whirlwind of factors for sure. But I do think a lot of it is just like people don't have the kind of disposable income that they used to have. I don't think. Yeah, you kind of got to go with the cheapest option, whether it's Amazon. Like Amazon is a perfect example of like something you can click, it'll be at your door tomorrow, and you got it for real cheap. And they also have the ability to, to just, it's like if you get something from Amazon, you email them and say, hey, this is the wrong shit. They'll just say, okay, keep that, and we'll send you another one. They don't even, there's no, no discretion there. They don't give a shit. They got plenty. And it's hard for any business to keep up with that. Now, I see a lot of small businesses popping up that are doing fairly well. Like, I think that's another thing, is like there are a lot of small businesses, and I think there's a certain charm that certain people like to, shop local and stuff like that. There's been a bit of a push to do more of that here recently, but yeah, I don't know. I just think we're headed to a place where the only options we're going to have are Walmart, Amazon. There's going to just be a handful of retailers, and that's it. Like, yeah, there'll always be small businesses, mom and pop stores and stuff like that. But in terms of like, what we used to have when we were kids, like I said, the Sears, Toys R Us, stuff like that, Kmart, I don't see it, unless you find something like a Buc-ee's or something, which is like something like that's something that's popped up over the last like 5 years or so, that like I've never heard of before. Then all of a sudden, like that's the place to be. But it's just like, okay, that's good business, like that they figured out a niche. They figured out something to kind of draw a crowd, which Buc-ee's is basically just Walmart of gas stations. I don't know. I've been to one, and I was just like, it's cool. They got a lot of shit here, but it's like, all right, I don't know why people fucking cream all over themselves over it, but all right. But yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. There's just, what would you even put in a mall these days? That's true. Hell, a lot of the storefronts in Monroeville Mall now are just fucking, head shops and shit like that. Like that's there's nothing bigger right now than owning a fucking pipe store or a fucking dispensary or something. It's like put that, like fucking put those in shopping malls, man. That'll bring the kids back in. That'll bring the people back in. Blake says, lots of older post office has those old supplies like Don did. If your post office has a nuclear fallout sign, you will be eating some old Don the Dead stuff. Oh, didn't know that. I used to work at the post office. I used to be a mail carrier. Didn't know that. Larry says, it's funny that you saw and mentioned my Martin location blog. It's still there. Yeah, okay. I'll have to go back and revisit that. I'll have to go back and check that out. Because like I said, this was years and years ago that I remember seeing that. That's funny. Did we ever figure out where the bridge was, or because I think the bridge is officially gone now. I think that's officially what everybody's kind of settled on. Is like the bridge is no longer there. But has anybody figured out for sure where that bridge is or was? Because that was kind of always the big mystery. Chin says, I feel like everyone there at the June Living Dead weekend, we all had that collective feeling of being at the Noah's Ark of cinema, the feeling of accomplishment just by being there. Yeah. Well, dude, I'm telling you, like, I know people, I did, first time I got there, like, when I pulled up and I saw it for the first time, it was just like, wow, there it is. Like, and I shed a tear, like, I started tearing up. I was just like, wow, I'm here. And it's like when I walked up to the biker entrance and I saw the stone over on the side, and it just looks exactly like it did in the movie, and you can picture the trucks pulling up next to it, or the bikers breaking in, and Tony Boo Boo with the sombrero fucking blasting his way in with the machine gun. Like it just all starts playing in your head, and you're like, holy shit, that happened right here. This is where they fucking blew up the entrance accidentally. Like you start to play the movie in your head, and you're like, I've seen this movie 1,000 times throughout my life, but I'm here now. Like it's a weird feeling. It's It's the equivalent of, like, I guess a diehard Catholic visiting the Vatican for the first time or something. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, I know. Like, people that don't understand will probably be like, "Oh, wow, that's some nerdy shit, man." But fuck it, if I'm a nerd for anything, it's Dawn of the Dead. That's for sure. Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. The blog's about 10 years old. Yeah, so that'd have been 2015 or so. Yeah, yeah. That's about when I remember stumbling across that. Yeah. Steven said it's true, but they had a lot of other issues beside that. Sears, for example, probably would have should have been out of business 20 years before it folded, at least from what I've read. Yeah, like I said, it was a mix of a bunch of things for a lot of those stores. Just bad business decisions, running up debt. That's the big thing where a lot of these companies, they're just bad business decisions that led to a lot of debt that they couldn't get out from under, so they had to file for bankruptcy, and then that was, that's all she wrote. Since I'm surprised that Guitar Center's still in business, especially next to Monroeville Mall. Yeah, we still have a Guitar Center here in Evansville, and it's yeah, I'm kind of with you there. And sadly, I like going in there and playing around with stuff every now and then, but again, it's like, this newer generation. It's like who's buying guitars now? Sadly, But again, they also have like mic equipment and keyboards and synths and stuff like that in there. So. Larry said, I actually did 2 more extensive trips to Braddock after the post on that Martin blog, but I never posted those pics. You may see a pattern. Got super busy with conventions and LTW. Yeah, I hear that a lot from you, Larry. Yeah, I got that. I did that. I did a bunch of stuff on that, but I never did anything with it. It's just sitting on my computer. I'm like, oh, okay. You and Synth both. You got a bunch of shit just sitting there. We're all dying to see. But I totally get it, man. Like, I've been talking about posting the Dawn Reimagined, where I edit, Don Rubinstein's score into Dawn of the Dead. I've been working on that off and on for the past few weeks, and I remember mentioning, I'm like, I'm going to post it this week, and it's just like, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's just not right yet. Like, it's just not perfect. I'm just that way. Like, I'm not going to post something if it's just like, if I'm going to watch it and be like, I don't like the way that worked. So I'm still like, just at some point, like any artist, you always heard George talk about it, any director, any filmmaker, it's like at some point you just gotta let the baby go and just send your kid into the world. At some point you gotta let it go. Chin says, but watching the original Night of the Living Dead with Russ and Judith in the same theater felt like a dream. You think you guys are going to watch Dawn with Ken Foray? Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there for that Dawn screening. I'll be there for the Return screening as well. They're doing Return of the Living Dead on Friday night as well. Got tickets for both of them, so I'll be there for both. But the Dawn one, yeah, like that's, again, bucket list stuff for me, man. Like that, just to see Dawn of the Dead in the mall that's, what more can I want? I can die a happy man. Steven says, wow, Alfie used to be a mailman. That's right. That explains the Martin box art and the other sister. It was only for a couple of years. Last one on Martin, I promise. No worries, man. But come on. You're going to argue with me and at least admit that this Martin poster art is badass. Like, come on. That's awesome. Even though it's got, what's his face from Salem's Lot up there in the corner? David Soul. Anyway, I love all Martin poster art, I guess. I don't know. But I love Martin so much, so. Todd says, a radio station I worked at in the 80s had a fallout shelter with civil defense supplies. We used to raid them and play the Geiger counter. That's cool. I got the civil defense barrel back there. I bought that specifically just so I could put that TV on it so I can match the movie, but I don't think I've ever played with a Geiger counter. Larry says, I figured the bridge thing totally on the blog, but both footbridges are gone now. Yeah, I knew they were both gone, but there was always the debate for years of like where that bridge was, because nothing quite matched up. Because I remember in the blog it was like for years everybody thought this was the bridge, but if you look at the background, it didn't match up. Like the street didn't match up with the movie. So I didn't know if anybody, if that, it had been confirmed where that bridge was yet or not. But like I said, it's been a decade since I had seen that. Yeah, that's true, Seth. Like even in the movie, that bridge looked pretty rough, pretty sketchy. Jen says, actually teared up on the city bus from Pittsburgh to Monroeville. The 33 bus literally pulls up, and the driver takes a cigarette break in the mall parking lot on the road. Yeah, dude. First time I saw the Monroeville sign coming into Pittsburgh, I was like, yeah, I started to tear up. And you can ask my fiance about that. I was just like, we're there. And she was just like, all right, calm down, homie. It says, anything creative takes time, especially when you have other priorities, time crunches, tech issues with the creation process. Yeah, you're making excuses, but they're all valid. Trust me. My time is stretched so thin with work and, a kid. I got another kid on the way. I get a little time at night by myself, and it's either preparing for live streams on the weekend or working on a video or something, and I have very little time to do it. And of course, Everly wants to come up here and, put me in a headlock, or she's always got something she's wanting to do, and I'm just like, all right, come on. Headphones falling off. Wouldn't have it any other way, though. Steven says it still isn't as good as the Don VHS box art of the Japanese version, but definitely better than the Jack Palance Dracula art. Come on, this is killer. It's goofy as hell, and it doesn't represent the movie well, but come on, that's just killer artwork. Jack Palance. You're right, though. That's exactly what that looks like. Chin says, "Oh man, I really want to see Dawn in the mall with Ken in the same theater. Now I'm really contemplating going again. I don't want to be a bad influence or anything, but you should do it. Do it. No, since she never wants to dress me like Chucky, or she never wants me to dress like Chucky. She's always Chucky, and I'm either Andy or Mommy Chucky. She wants me to, because I do the Jennifer Tilly voice. Oh, Chucky. I do that, and she thinks it's fucking hilarious. So I'm like, oh, Chucky. She's like, you Mommy Chucky. I'm like, all right. That's what she calls her, by the way, Mommy Chucky. She's got Chucky, Mommy Chucky, and then, of course, Glenn from C to Chucky is Baby Chucky. So, yeah, we don't want to be bad influences or anything, Larry, but yeah, come on, man, come on. Yeah, somebody said that the other night too, John. Looks like Leslie Nielsen and Dracula Dead and Loving It. I think somebody said Martin Dead and Loving It or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much it. I know I missed a big chunk of you guys' comments earlier, but let me go back. Anything important that I missed? Anybody tell me, hey, you won the lottery or anything? All you gotta do is dial this number. But you guys have been killing it tonight. I appreciate you guys as always. You guys make this fun. I love doing these. That's why I can go almost 3 hours again tonight. I said at the beginning, I was like, I'll try not to do 3 hours and keep you guys up all night. But by God, when we get talking and shooting the shit about Romero and Don, and especially the mall and everything that's been going on, it's been nice to get it all out and trying to verbalize my thoughts and feelings about all this shit. But I don't know if any of it made any goddamn sense, but I try. But yeah, if I missed your comments earlier, I apologize. You guys know I like to try to get to as many as I can, if not all. There you go, Chance. There you go, Chance. We'll be the devil on your shoulder. Just say that. Fabian, what's going on, man? That's a new name. What's going on, Fabian? It says, if you have to put the last 3 Dead films of the series, which do you prefer? Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, Survival of the Dead? I know the last 2 get crapped on. Yeah, that's true. I I've come around a little bit. Land of the Dead, I think, is the best out of all three of those. I enjoy that one the most. I think there's just a lot there. I think there's some really good ideas. I think some interesting character stuff in there. Like one of the hot takes that I was gonna bring up on the hot take stream that we did a couple weeks ago, the Romero Roundtable hot take stream, that I didn't get to. But I've been thinking about it a little bit here lately. It has to do with Land of the Dead. I don't know if Kaufman was really that much of a heel in that movie. I don't know if he was really the bad guy or not. Because I mean, he was kind of the catalyst of keeping all those people safe and building that community and fortifying that city. He didn't have to do all that. Like, he even points it out in the movie. He's like, I give you guys things to do. I give you shit to gamble on and all this stuff. I did that. I did that. And yeah, he's an asshole, but he's kind of right. He does deserve that place of power. If he was the one that built all that stuff in a world of chaos where there was zero order and people were dying left and right, and he built this fortified city, and yeah, he gets to stay in the Fiddler's Green at the top and get all the good things in life while people are down the street, But hey, I'd rather be down in the streets, cold and, eating fucking fried rats or whatever than out in the world fending with, Big Daddy and the horde of smart zombies, I guess. So yeah, I don't know if he was really in the wrong in that movie, honestly. But Diary and Survival, not the biggest fans of those, honestly. I really enjoyed Survival the first time I saw it. It's kind of lessened over the years. The more I watch it, I find more I dislike about it. Survival's one that if I could watch it without Romero's name being attached to it, if I was just watching it as a low-budget zombie film that was, straight to DVD or whatever, I think a lot of the hate that those movies get is just because it's George, which I'm not making excuses because, I mean, it is George, and George, there's a higher standard that people expect from the guy who made Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Creepshow, Day of the Dead, Martin, one of the greatest horror filmmakers of all time. In my opinion, one of the greatest independent filmmakers of all time. But I think if those movies were just like your typical zombie movies that came out around that time, I don't think people would shit on them as much as they do. I think if Diary of the Dead was directed by Bill Smith, or, Survival of the Dead directed by, Greta Jackson or whatever, I think people would be much kinder to those movies than they are, because it's Romero, and it's like, oh, this isn't as good as Dawn of the Dead. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's not, but they're not. I've seen much worse. I'll just say that, for the same budget, on an equal playing field, same budget, direct DVD, whatever. I've seen much, much fucking worse. So I'll just say that. But yeah, out of the three, in terms of my preference, I'd put them in that order: Land, Diary, and Survival, I would say. But I missed this comment, Steve. He was Mommy Chucky. When scariest Halloween costume this year. Still wondering about those furries. Yeah, that would be a horrific sight. I was thinking about a Halloween costume this year. I just watched this the other day, and I was like, that'd be perfect. I think I might go with Defense from Falling Down. Michael Douglas and Falling Down. I might do that this year. It's a simple costume, but it would just be one of those costumes that's like, I wonder how many people would get that, because all I need is like a white button-up shirt, tie, briefcase. I got the glasses already. I might have to get rid of the stash to really go all the way in with it. But I don't know. I was watching that. That's a great movie. Michael Douglas, Robert Duvall. I was like, that'd be a cool costume just to see who got it. But yeah, I don't think I'd be doing Mommy Chucky unless Everly demanded, and then there's some things I just will not fight against with Everly. She wins a lot of those battles, trust me. John says, speaking of lotteries, next week's Mega Millions jackpot is $600 million. All right, I don't play the lottery. You guys play the lottery? Never been a lottery guy. I don't like betting. I'm not much of a gambler. Every now and then I'll put a few bucks on a football game or something like that, but it's too fucking stressful. I can't do it. Since I found another Alpha Romero channel that loves Fortnite stuff. Hey, how you found my second channel? Who knew? I know nothing about Fortnite, but yeah, Alpha. I've had people ask me about the Alpha. They're like, Alpha Romero, like I can't find it on YouTube. Every time I type it in, it's like it takes me to car shit. I'm like, yeah, I know, I fucked up when I came up with that name because now it just immediately takes everybody to Alfa Romeo, the car company. Just videos of those. Which it's funny, a lot of those videos, when people post videos about the car Alfa Romeo, they actually spell it Alpha Romero the way that the channel is, so no wonder all that shit pops up. But yeah, probably should have figured out a better name so people could find my channel a little easier. But it is what it is. I think the right people find it. I guess if you're looking up Dawn of the Dead and stuff, if you're interested in googling, looking Dawn of the Dead up on YouTube, I think that's probably the most common way people find this channel, and those are the people that I'm preaching to. That's the choir that I'm preaching to, I guess. It says, I'm listening till the end, but wanted to say it's been fun. Good night, everyone. It's always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure having you in here. And hope you're doing well. How was that, by the way, how was that triple feature? The night, dawn, day. How'd that go, man? That was about a month ago, I guess, now? How was that? If you're still in here. Chin said, if I won the lottery, I would buy a house in the Monroeville Mall area. That was always the dream. If I ever won the lottery, I would do two things. If I ever won the lottery, I'd make a movie. I'd fund my own movie and I'd make a movie, because that's dream number one. Dream number two would be to buy the Monroeville Mall and restore it back to the way it looked in 1977. I don't care if there's any fucking stores in it or I'm making money or whatever. If I won the lottery and had just, if I had Elon Musk money or something like that, that's what I'd be doing with it. I would just take that mall, buy it, restore everything back to the way it looked back in '78, and I would just live there. Fuck it. I'd build a little room up at the top, like in the movie, and that would be my house, and I would I would have you guys over anytime. You guys could visit anytime you wanted. The only thing is you'd have to dress up like the zombies, the zombies in Dawn of the Dead, and you just have to stay outside and pound on the doors. I'm not letting you in, unless bikers show up or something. But yeah, that was always the big pipe dream of any Dawn of the Dead fans. Like, oh, if I had the money, if I only had the money, that's what I would do. Larry says, so I have to ask, are you still not smoking? Still not smoking. I've been smoke-free for, I don't even remember when. It was August, I think, is when I quit. Mid-August. So, yeah. I haven't had one cigarette since then. But I will say I'm still using the Zens. So I do pop those in and just kind of kill the craving, I guess. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather spend $3 a can on those and then I can, use those for 2 or 3 days for $2 or $3 than buy a pack of cigarettes every day for $12, $13 or whatever they are now. Those are getting ridiculous. So eventually my plan is to wean myself off these and yeah, and trust me, every now and then I get the craving, and especially after doing a stream or something where I've been talking for 3 hours fucking straight, I do have the urge to, I want to smoke something, but I don't, and I just let it pass. But yeah, smoke free for about 2 months now, so pretty cool, pretty cool. Steven says, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Plus, Dennis Hopper either has to play a bad guy or a drugged out character. That's true. See Apocalypse Now or Easy Rider. Or most anything Dennis Hopper ever did. Blue Velvet. Perfect example. Dennis Hopper could never be the romantic lead, I don't think. I wouldn't buy that. And since as Kaufman caused it, but it was a selfish endeavor and folks on the fringe barely scraped out a living in service of Kaufman and his crew, back to the capitalism thing. Yeah, but I mean, he didn't, who got all those people killed in that area? Who got all those people killed? It wasn't Kaufman. It was fucking Cholo. It was fucking Johnny Legs, John Leguizamo. If he wasn't so fucking selfish, like, no, dude, you can't be in this fucking tower. You're lower class. Like, well, why would you don't have a place here? If he would have just said, all right, fuck you, and just shot fucking Kaufman, everybody else would have survived and Kaufman would have died. But instead, he decides to steal the Dead Reckoning, escape the fucking city, and then threaten to fucking shell the whole city and kill everybody. So maybe Cholo was the real villain there. Kaufman was just the asshole at the top, which, you know, it's no different than society now. There's an asshole at the top that, you know, but without Kaufman, all those people, you know, think about the world that was left behind in Day of the Dead and what Kaufman was able to build in term. Would you rather be stuck underground and barely surviving, or would you at least have a city? I mean, they had a fucking strip club with, you know, gambling, and they had fun stuff to do there, drugs, you know, at least you could go out, you know, partying, I guess. And if you were lucky enough to live in the Fiddler's Green, it was a nice little spot. Yeah, you had the foot soldiers that had to go out for supplies and stuff, but, you know. Here I am defending Kaufman. Jesus Christ. Midnight here, and I'm just like, yeah, Kaufman was a good man. I don't care what anybody says. Steven said that's awesome, but be careful if you get the Uzi. People might get the wrong idea. Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't get the Uzi. I'd probably just stick with either the briefcase. I'd probably have the briefcase, maybe a baseball bat or something like that. But, or just at least carry a duffel bag full of toy guns or something like that. Fabian says, which is hilarious because Roger Ebert gave 3.5 stars to Diary of the Dead, which I've come around to enjoy a lot. Ebert also gave Day of the Dead 2 stars and Land of the Dead 3 stars. Yeah, I remember when Land of the Dead came out, they were still doing Ebert and Roper. I was an avid viewer of that at the time. And that was an interesting summer because I remember they split on Land of the Dead. Roper he didn't hate it, but he wasn't as big of a fan. I kind of agree with his assessment of it. He would have liked to have seen more of the Fiddler's Green, of more of like life of the people that lived inside Fiddler's Green. I'm kind of the same way. I would have loved to have seen more of that. But Ebert gave it a thumbs up, I remember. And it was funny, that same summer, I remember seeing their review of The Devil's Rejects. And it was kind of a similar review that Ebert and Siskel and Ebert gave Dawn of the Dead back in the day when Dawn of the Dead came out. It was very similar. Because with Dawn of the Dead, they both were like, this movie's, you know, Dawn of the Dead is vile, it's disgusting, but it's also maybe the greatest horror movie ever made. And we give it a thumbs up. Like, we highly recommend this movie. It was kind of the same thing that they said about The Devil's Rejects when that came out. It was like, this movie's vile, disgusting, it's hard to watch, but we thumbs up. Go see it. Like, it's worth watching. Which was rare back in the day, because those guys usually hated anything horror that came out around that time. So, Robert says, I found you just by simply looking up George Romero on YouTube. Yeah. Either George Romero, Dawn of the Dead, something like that. That's usually where I pop up. But if you try to look up Alfa Romero, it's like, did you mean Alfa Romeo? And here's some car videos. And it's like, huh. But, hey, what can you do? What can you do? It says, it was great. We can talk about it on your channel one week if you wish. Yeah, man. I'd love to hear all about it. Because, yeah, that's the dream triple feature right there, man. That would be a day, you know, well spent in my book. Yeah, glad to hear it went well. So it says you would run around the mall like Cartman did in Casa Bonita. Yeah, exactly. I would be Cartman with Casa Bonita. Casa Bonita. Monroeville Mall would be my Casa Bonita. I'm so happy. Or when he bought the theme park, the amusement park, and he wouldn't let anybody in. And eventually, that's exactly what would happen. Eventually, I'd have to be like, oh yeah, somebody's got to fix the escalators here, and I got to hire these people, and hire, you know, and then eventually I got to let people in, and, you know, put stores in there, and yeah, that's what would happen. That's funny. I didn't even think of it that way, but that's totally true. Jen says, this is an even better idea. Just buy the mall and fully restore it to its original 1978 look with the same store layouts and everything, and build that storage room up the top and live. There you go. That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I would do, my man. Since you quit smoking, I bet your sense of smell returned a little more. Dude, a lot of that stuff I haven't noticed. Like, they always say, like, your sense of taste changes, your sense of smell and all that. Like, I haven't really noticed a whole lot of that, to be honest with you. I don't know if the nicotine that I get from the Zen or whatever has any effect on any of that. But the only thing I've noticed is, like, I'm not blowing fucking $100 a week on cigarettes now, which is kind of nice. So, which is like the main motivating factor. Everybody quits for one reason or another, and my main motivating factor was just like when I sat down and did the math and realized what I was spending per year on cigarettes, and I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like, It was like a moment of realization. I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this isn't even worth it. A lot of the time, like, I'd half a second, I'd be like, I don't even want the rest of this. It was just habit at this point. I didn't get anything out of it. Jen says, you're right, Cholo was actually the crux of the film. They actually had a good thing going in Dead World till Cholo got emotional about not being accepted. That's right, man. Just suck it up. Like, I don't get a place in the green because, like, obviously not. Like, you're obviously a psychopath. You get rejected once, and your resolution to that is, well, I'm gonna kill every fucking body. Fuck all of you, and I want my money. Well, yeah, you're a psycho. You have no place in the Fiddler's Green. This is for sophisticated folks. Damn it. Jeff says you're the best Milo. Thank you very much, man. Hey, you're not so bad yourself, man. You're not so bad yourself. Thanks again for another great show. Best and happy spooky season, everyone. Absolutely. Have a good night, man. I'm going to hop off here in just a second. Let me hit the rest of these comments. Frankie G, what's going on, man? I remember Frankie G. It's been a while since you've been in here. Good to see you, man. What do you think of the odds of Dana Ashbrook being added / announced for the con? I'm crossing my fingers for it. I don't know. I don't know about that. They're, like I said, they're still announcing some guests. They just announced two guests for Return of the Living Dead 2. One just today, which I'm not the biggest Return of the Living Dead 2 fan. Like, I didn't like it at all the first time I saw it, but I've come around on it. I watched it again here recently, and it's fun. It's a fun, it's not nearly as good as the original, but it's still a fun little sequel. Who they announced today? I forget. Marsha Dietline. Not too familiar with her, but she's in Return of the Living Dead Part 2. And Michael Kenworthy, the little kid from Return 2. So both of them just got announced. So that's pretty cool. So now you're getting an actual full Return of the Living Dead reunion for multiple movies. Still holding out hope for Brian Peck. That's the big one for me. If Brian Peck makes it this year, I'm all for it. Which Brian Peck was actually in all 3 of the first Return of the Living Dead movies, I believe. I think I told Larry that. I was like, dude, if Kevin Christ has any balls, he'll get Brian Peck. Have him at the convention. That'd be hilarious. I wonder how that would go over, honestly. Probably not too well. It'd be kind of like, which is not a fair comparison, but it's kind of like conventions have Tony Moran show up. People are just like, fuck Tony Moran. Which I have a Tony Moran autograph over there, so. Steven says, I'd take being stuck underground if I had a shot at Lori Cardille. Ozzy Argento tends to like younger guys. See her lawsuit. I don't know, man. If I had my choice, I think I'd pick Ozzy over damn near anybody, honestly. That's my... I used to say that all the time when I was younger. It's like, that's my future ex-wife. Then I crossed the 20-year-old boundary, and I was just like, there goes my shot. Fuck. Since Siskel and Ebert also reviewed The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, I've never seen that. I haven't seen that. That's one I need to say. I think Larry was posting about that here recently. A lot of Don alum in that movie as well. Hey, no worries, Rick. Good to have you back, my man. Chin says, I don't know about being stuck underground with roads in charge. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Frankie G, what is your prediction for the after-party screening after Return of the Living Dead Friday? I'm guessing it'll either be the new Living... I guess your Return of the Living Dead. I'm not sure. So I guess I can spill the beans now for you guys that are hung with me this long. So the original plan, I think, from what I heard, the original plan was Stacy Q, of course, did the song Return of the Living Dead. Tonight, we'll make love till we die. She was originally going to perform at the mall after the screening of Return of the Living Dead. That was going to be the after party thing. She was going to perform, but she unfortunately has had to cancel because of health reasons. What we're being told, which is sad. Hopefully she's doing well, and hopefully she gets better and she's okay. Because I'm a Stacey Q fan, just more so for Two of Hearts. I'm a sucker. That's one of my guilty pleasure songs. Is Two of Hearts. I'm a big fan of that movie Party Monster with Macaulay Culkin and Seth Green, and of course that song is in that in this really kind of sweet scene. two of hearts, two hearts that beat. So I was looking forward to that, but so that was the original plan. Now I'm not sure. I don't know what they're gonna do afterwards. But there's always something up their sleeve for the after party. But yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing it would have to be something Return related. Maybe, shit, they may just play Return of the Living Dead 2. Because it's not like, I mean, it's one of those things. It's a gray area where they wouldn't really have to get the rights, which they're usually pretty good about dotting the I's and crossing the T's with all that stuff. But it's one of those situations where it's like they're not advertising the screening really, so they're not charging money for the screening. So there's like a gray area there where if you're not doing that, you can kind of show whatever and just be like, hey, come to the after party, and then happen to be playing a movie, type of thing. So yeah, I'm not sure. Steven says, yeah, finding your channel on YouTube can be a pain. I check my spelling like 10 times to make sure I didn't screw it up. I generally just look up Dawn of the Dead to find you now. Yeah. Usually the best, if you could just go Alfa Romero, Dawn of the Dead, or Alfa Romero, George Romero, I'll pop up, I guess. I guess I gotta get more popular than the car company, I guess, for anybody to find me. But, and yes, this is true, Larry. It's easy to find your channel. Everyone needs to subscribe to it and smash that like button. That's right. That's the easiest way to find this channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on the videos, and then I will infiltrate your algorithm so fast your head will spin. You'll see so much of my fucking face, you'll get sick of me. You'll be like, oh, I got the fucking mustache again. Jesus Christ. But yes, hit that like button, guys. Hit that subscribe if you're watching for the first time. I appreciate it. Let me hit these last few comments, and then we'll get out of here. Like, we're over 3 hours, and my head's starting to spin. Fabian says, what's your hot take? One zombie film you feel is underrated, and one zombie film that is overrated. Thanks. Keep up your great work. Found your show a few months ago. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. One that I always go to bat for that most people don't like, but I think is very underrated, and I love it. It's one of the it's one of the modern zombie films that I can watch all the time. I can watch over and over again. It's Jim Jarmusch's The Dead Don't Die with Bill Murray. It's got the song from Sturgill Simpson that always plays in it. It's a star-studded cast. Bill Murray, Tilda Swinton, the fucking guy from Star Wars. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I love that fucking movie, and it's a total love letter to George, and it's got the comedy aspect, and it's got George's spirit to it. There's so many like little nuggets and little pieces and little callbacks to George's films. Like it's got the car from Night of the Living Dead in it. They mention George's films. They mention and it's got the Romero spirit to it, and I truly feel like, because it came out after George's passing, and I just feel like it's one of those movies that George would have loved if he would have seen. He would have kind of gotten. He would be like, yeah, this is funny. And the whole idea of Tilda Swinton's character is like this alien living on Earth, and it kind of goes into the idea of like, what if an alien that was living on Earth was here during the zombie apocalypse? How would they respond to it? Like it's silly. Like there's some silly shit. It's got Steve Buscemi in it. Like it's. But I love that. I think that one's a highly underrated movie in my opinion. A zombie movie that I feel is overrated. I don't know if this people. I mentioned this the other day too, but I don't know if people technically consider this a zombie movie, but I guess some people do. Fulci's The Beyond, I kind of feel is a bit overrated in my opinion. Like I think there's a lot of interesting gore and stuff in it, but I've just never like a lot of all the Fulci's zombie stuff, which that movie has zombie-esque people in it, I guess. I don't know if that'd be technically a zombie movie, but I've always felt like that one was kind of overrated. People kind of always gush over that movie as like Fulci's best, but I just don't see it. I'm trying to think of a more like conventional zombie movie that people always love. I mean, I could say the Dawn remake I feel like is overrated, but that's, neither here nor there. One that I feel is overrated. I'm trying to think of something that everybody loves, but I'm just not a big fan of. Nothing's really coming to mind right now. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would go with that one. Beyond, if you want to technically categorize that as a zombie film, which it sorta is. I don't know. But yeah, Dead Don't Die. Big love for me. And of course, Hell of the Living Dead is the most underrated zombie film of all time. I don't, that's a fucking classic. I skipped a bunch of shit. Sorry. John says, 12 years back, my brother was a part-time cab driver, and he would extract 20 pounds. That's what it is. 20 pounds from an ATM for a 500 milliliter bottle of Coke and a 20 pack of silk cut cigarettes. They were 14 pounds a pack at the time, daily. Yeah, it was crazy. When you start to really add that shit up, it makes you feel like, God, what a dumbass. Like, what am I doing? I'm just literally burning money daily. Yeah, it's crazy. I was hoping that'd be like a last minute addition, Larry. Brian Peck's not gonna be there. Sorry. Damn. I really needed his signature. Frankie says, when I was in California, I went to the Halloween 3 bar. Yeah, and the police station from Return of the Living Dead Part 2, and like 2 minutes away across the street. That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard. I think they did. Sean Clark did a tour of that bar with Tom Atkins, I think, a couple of years ago for. I think it was one of the Halloween conventions. I think. Yeah, there's a lot on the West Coast I wouldn't mind checking out. Robert says, you make some very good points about Land of the Dead. I've thought some similar things myself. Well, yeah, thank you. I'm not trying to make excuses for Kaufman's assholishness, but I mean, I don't think that he was the real villain there. I think Cholo fucked it up for everybody. And poor Riley was just trying to leave and just take a car and go, You got fucked. Frankie G says Monster Mania had him years back, and after the Nickelodeon doc, people started commenting on the years old post announcing him giving the con shit as he was. Well, that's stupid. That's part of that. Going back in time and looking at shit in hindsight. But yeah, he used to do quite a bit, and he was so synonymous with the Return of the Living Dead for years. I mean, he did the voiceover work for that. More Brains documentary that was on the originally, I think it was originally on the DVD back in the day. But yeah, he's pretty much been axed from fucking society at this point. Steven says, unfortunately for you, Alpha, more like 15 years old, at least according to the lawsuit. Oh, for Ozzy, I was like, hold on. We're really like crossing paths here between Ozzy and fucking Brian Peck, and I'm just like, 15. Okay, I don't know why that would be unfortunate for me. I'm not trying to meet Brian Peck for those reasons. I'll just say that. Okay, I got you. But fuck, man, when I was 15 years old, if Ozzy Argento was like, let me see what's doing, I'd be like, all right. I wouldn't feel too abused. I'll just say that. That's just me. I don't know about the lawsuit or whatever, but when I was 15, I was, I was no innocent bystander. That's for sure. Rick says, now that would have been cool / for her to sing that song. Yeah, it would have been cool. I was looking forward to it. I was like, that's fucking awesome. That'd have been cool. I was curious how they were going to do that. And Larry is saying, yep, Stussy Q was supposed to perform. It's terrible that she canceled. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunate, but man, if she's dealing with health issues, you can't do much about that, and hopefully she gets well, she gets better. Yeah, forgot she did the song for Trash Net. Yeah, that was her, Stacy Q. Steven says, well, I never knew she did the Return of the Living Dead song. I guess I now like 2 of her songs. There you go. She got a greatest hits there. Frank says, yeah, I was disappointed she canceled. I'm a huge Hard Bodies fan, which also has Party Time by 45 Grave in it. Okay. Cool. Rick saying, I like the original Return of the Living Dead 2 when it came out in theaters in the late 80s, but the remastered DVD release has been altered. Yeah, didn't they use a different soundtrack or something when there's different music included on that version? I remember hearing about that. Yeah, it's only 10:14 over there on the West Coast right now. It's just still early for you guys, but Us over here in Central and East Coast, it's late night, Sunday morning over here, man. Frankie said, just so everyone knows, I tried to book an appointment to get a Romero tattoo at the mall tattoo parlor, and they will be at a tattoo convention in town all weekend. Won't even be there long on Thursday. Yeah, they were actually closed. When I got my tattoo, Matt actually reached out and got them, because they were actually closed on that Sunday, but Matt actually got them to come in and do our tattoos, just specifically our tattoos for that day. So that was really cool of them. It's a really, really great tattoo parlor there at the mall. Really cool people. Like I said, it's cool to get that I got my tattoo done by the girl that lives and owns the red house from Dawn of the Dead, and getting to talk to her about that is pretty cool. Steven says, I'm subscribed, but sometimes it doesn't always show your channel, and I'm too lazy to go to my subscription list. Yeah. I'm fucking shadow banned, man. I'm telling you. It's fucking YouTube. They're out to get me. That's it, John. Adam Driver. That's the dude in Dead Don't Die. Since that good fun, thanks again. Time to go make some ice. Yeah, since just starting. His night's just beginning. Be careful out there, man. As always, be careful. Some fucking crazy people out there. Rick said, I wonder if George Romero ever met George Lucas in person ever. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But I know George Lucas helped do the restoration for Night of the Living Dead for Criterion. So there is a connection there. But I don't know if George ever met George Lucas. John says, much of Fulci's content is too weird and cerebral. I like Fulci. I'm a Fulci fan. I like the Beyond okay. Like, I like it. It's fine. But some people just say, they just put that movie over. So they're just like, oh, it's Fulci's best movie. And I just don't see that. I just think Fulci has so much better stuff out there. Like, Don't Torture a Duckling, Zombie, City of the Living Dead, New York Ripper. I like all those more than I like The Beyond. Even like House by the Cemetery. Everybody knows I'm a Zombie 3 guy, even though that's like half Fulci or whatever. I'll agree with that, Chance. Yeah, the new 20 Days Later movie is the most overrated piece of dog shit ever. I feel that way about most movies that I see now, though, honestly. Like, people just, are shitting themselves over some of these movies, and I go see them, I'm like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not like, earth-shattering or anything. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of 28 Years Later at all. Robert says Redneck Zombies is also fantastic for what it is. Yeah, I was talking to Larry about that here recently. Larry actually had a copy of that he bought years ago. From Trauma, and he said that he tried to watch. He hadn't seen it, and he tried to watch it for the first time, and he tried to open the case up, and it just fucking deteriorated in his hands. I was like, oh, hey, Trauma's known for their quality, so I'm not surprised. Yeah, I remember watching that years ago. That's a fun one, though. Yeah, Robert saying 20 years was a disappointment to him. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that one. I did leave the theater kind of irked that's what they did with that. Yeah, Chinchilla was an actual emotional sack. Yeah, he was he was kind of a bitch, wasn't he? Or said, I love Cholo's character, but you're right, he's definitely the villain of the movie. He is. And poor Kaufman. And yeah, he does kill that dude in cold blood, but he thought he was like, hey, we're all fucked anyway, so I'm getting out of here while I can. Larry said, I told Kevin you wanted Brian Peck there. Might happen. He took offense to the balls remark. Oh, totally in jest. That's obviously a joke. Like, there's no fucking... If he did do that, it wouldn't be like, oh, what a ballsy move. It'd be like, has Kevin lost his fucking mind? Like, okay. No, there's no surprise there. Since this Kaufman hired bad guys to do his bidding and it caught up to him, matter of time. That's true, too. That's true. I'm glad I got a little bit of conversation started here about whether Kaufman was the real villain of the piece or not. Frankie says, I'm hoping we get maybe one or two Dawn guests that weren't there last year, or another rare guest, but I can't complain on the current lineup. I'll be there regardless. Yeah, we'll see. There's still a couple weeks, and usually they do, they're really good about adding people last minute. It's usually in the last couple weeks they start adding some more people, so keep an eye out. We'll see. Like I said, a lot of those Dawn guests, a lot of are people that still live in that area, so it's easy to just say, hey, you want to come over? We have a table? Hey, come on over. Right down the road. Get Rosemary Rixey. She's right down the road, guys. We need Rosemary Rixey there. John says the Australian zombie film Wormwood is terrific. I've never seen that. Never seen Wormwood. That's the first I've heard of it, actually. All right. Well, guys, another 3.5 hours. You guys have been awesome tonight. Appreciate you guys coming on, letting me air my emotions and my feelings about all the goings on with the Monroeville Mall and all the news. And hey, we at least we know for sure now we got a date. April 2027. That's the doomsday date, or whatever you want to call it. But hey, at least now we know we got this amount of time, and it's time to enjoy it while we have it. And whatever happens afterwards is beyond our control. And it just is what it is. But yeah, sucks either way. But yeah, so that'll be it for me tonight. Like I said, next weekend, guys, Living Dead Weekend preview show, Dead Pit invades LDW. I will have both Uncle Bill and Creepy Kentuckian on, along with our good friend Larry, WGON TV. We'll be talking about Living Dead Weekend, conventions, and who knows what the hell else will pop up that we'll talk about with those guys. Really cool stuff. Check them out over Dead Pit, over on YouTube. Just look up Dead Pit Radio. Check them out. I got some other stuff in the works, some streams coming up. I don't know if I'll be doing... I always say, like, I'm going to try to do something from Living Dead Weekend, but the thing is, like, and Synth can vouch for this, the thing is, it's so hard to do actually anything in the mall, especially, like, live, that the signal is so bad in that mall that it's like... So if I do anything, I might take some videos and post them later, at a later date, but I'll definitely keep you guys in the loop on all that, but... And I still want to do a zombie fan commentary for Fulci's Zombie. So that may be coming soon too, which Ian McCullough from Zombie is going to be there at Living Dead, which is fucking cool. Like, it's fucking Ian McCullough. So he'll be there at Living Dead Weekend, so it kind of got me in the mood to revisit Zombie, so maybe we'll do that here soon. But, so yeah, check that out next weekend. I'll be back for that. Shop.alpharomero.store. Check it out if you want some, I don't know what you'd call it, if you know type of shirts and designs for Romero stuff. Check it out there. Usually it's just ideas that pop into my head of shit that I would want to wear or buy. So check it out. There's usually a sale going on all the time over there on that site, on the TeePublic site, 35% off usually. So check that out if you're so inclined. And yes, like the video, subscribe. Appreciate you guys. You guys rule. Let me say goodnight to everybody. We had a comment. Chin said it's funny because I always had that feeling about Cholo, but even had a heated argument with my cousin about Cholo being a bitch. It's funny how you actually feel the same. Yeah, he was, man. He was. I'm on your side. I can tell your cousin that. Steven, always a pleasure, my man. Good night, Alvin, everyone else. Have a great rest of your weekend. And I will convince you, me and Grande will work on you eventually. We'll convince you that Martin, the artwork for Martin is pristine no matter which way you go. Rick says, great show, Alpha. Thanks for letting me hang out. Of course, anytime, man. Always a pleasure to have you in here, and always a pleasure saying your name. You know I love that name. Bonnie, always a pleasure having you in here. You stay quiet through a lot of these. I don't see a lot of your comments, but it's interesting. It's cool to know that you're listening. So it's always good to know that Bonnie's there. Oh, Bonnie's always got my back. I know that. Good night. Hope you have a great weekend too, man. Synth, it's good to see you. I'll see you here shortly in just a couple of weeks, and be safe out there tonight if you're going out making that money. Oh, Chintz is late, so Walmart is actually destroying the mall. Yeah, Walmart. The date is set. Mall will be closing and demolished April 1st, 2027. Go back. We talked about it and discussed it for as in depth as I could without just getting mad and saying fuck Walmart, fuck everybody. But yeah. So the date's out there, April 2027. That's when the mall will close its doors, and I don't even want to say it. The demolition will begin. We'll just say that. I'll just say that. Larry, always a pleasure, my man. I'll see you next weekend, and I'll see you at Living Dead weekend, of course. Frankie, have a good night and a good weekend, my man. Take care. I look forward to if I run into you, you'll be there at Living Dead weekend. If you see me, come say hi. I'll be around. John, thanks for hanging out. Good to see you. And yeah, do that. Do that, Chintz. And call my cousin just to argue about him with each other. There you go. That's a good way to reconnect with family members. Appreciate you guys. You guys have a great rest of the night. Great rest of the week. Stay scared. Oh no. Fuck, I fucked it up. See, that's what, when I go this late, my brain's all mush at this point. It's I'm gonna try this again. Stay safe. Stay prepared. But always, stay scared. Good night, everybody.